"No!" I cried as Mark wrapped his arm around my neck. "What's wrong, sweetie?" Mark asked. "Can't handle the pain?" My entire body burned like roast chicken inside an oven. My muscles expanded while white fur sprouted over my skin. As my neck grew thicker, I gagged because Mark's arm pressed on my throat. In a rage, I grabbed his arm and tossed him off my back. He crashed against the wall, but he rose off the ground as if nothing happened. "Wow. You are strong." I rose on all fours, but I felt like gravity was forcing me down. Tears fell from my eyes, while my teeth turned sharp behind my lips. "I don't want to hurt Kevin." Mark laughed, crossing his arms. "You can't resist it, sweetie. No one can. Just let it go." Kevin widened his eyes at Mark. "How come you're not changing?" Mark smiled. "Years of practice, nerd. I had plenty of time to learn a few tricks to master my ability. During the night, I can choose whenever I want to transform." Damn, I wished Mark could teach me how to control my transformation, but I didn't want to kill for him. This wasn't fair. My face stretched forward, forming into a wolf snort, tearing at my nerves. I rested my face on the ground to try to stop screaming, but the pain wouldn't stop. It was totally hard to hold back the transformation. Gritting my teeth and clenching my fists was all I could think of. But it wasn't helping me fight back. "Why are you trying to resist it?" Mark shouted. "It will only hurt the worst." I shrieked. Holding back was like pushing a boulder back, and the pain was totally making my situation worse. No matter how I tried, the pain wouldn't stop. It was only got worse. Through my tears, Kevin smiled at me with tears in his eyes too. "It's okay, Jessica. Whatever you do, I will forgive you. Just remember who you are." I couldn't believe Kevin was being totally brave. Perhaps I never thought he could be brave after the bullies picked on him. Even I bullied him to do my homework, and Mark just teased him for looking weak. But in the blink of possible death, he held back his tears, keeping his face straight without showing fear. God, I was so wrong about him. I curled my lips up, forcing my smile to show in his eyes. Then I released my howl, letting all my painful suffering leave. I shredded my clothes, sprouted my tail, and finally, the pain cooled away. I rose to my bare feet and glanced at my long sharp claws, panting with my lower jaw down. My whole body bulged in muscles, coated in smooth white fur. And somehow I didn't black out. Was I still hanging on to my humanity? The sound of hands clapped behind me. "That's my girl." Mark cheered. I swung around and growled without even thinking about it. No, I wasn't in control. Only the beast's bloodthirst was in control. Mark stepped back with his hands up. "Row, row, row, there, girl. I am your mate." I wanted to rip him apart. I totally do. Instead, I stepped toward him and sniffed his hair. His musty wolf scent drifted through my narrow snort. Then I kneeled, lowering my head to the ground. "Oh, come on. Good girl." Mark stroked my long white hair and rubbed my chin. "Good girl." No. This wasn't right. But maybe my inner beast still had the hots for my evil boyfriend. Or was it just basic instinct? Because he totally has a werewolf chick magnet that I couldn't resist at all? This situation was making me totally pathetic as a monster. The bastard kissed my forehead and raised his finger toward Kevin. "Now to prove your loyalty, eat that pity human." Oh, no. I gazed at Kevin, feeling the saliva dripped from my jaw. The hunger and bloodthirst flowed through me like an illness. It wasn't mine, but the beast, thank God. We shared the feeling in a connection somehow. But it was sick, and I hated it. Kevin's face glazed in sweat as I approached, smelling the fear reek from his shaking body. The poor guy couldn't hold on to his bravery for long. He stared into my eyes. You can still choose what you want to be, he whispered and closed his eyes. Remember who you are. Remember? Yes. I do remember. I remembered taking you to Burger Queen, meeting the creepy witch girl, and making you do all my homework. I still remember. My fangs barely touched Kevin's skull, but I stopped while screaming through my head. I remember. I remember. I felt my jaw twitched, reacting to my inner thoughts. My eyes widened, and I stepped back by my free will. Yes. It was working. Jessica? Kevin asked. I opened my mouth. Only a soft moan came out. I couldn't say his name. Not as a werewolf, apparently. What the hell? Mark's startling voice shouted. I slashed the ropes off Kevin's wrists. He rubbed his wrists and blushed at me. TSSK. I will totally cobble him one if he asked to feel my furry boobs on his face again. Thanks for not eating me, he said, rubbing behind his head. Why aren't you eating him? Mark shouted. I growled at him. Did he totally think I forgot what he tried to do to me in the woods? Screw him. Mark pointed his finger at me. You are supposed to be my mate. Kevin crossed his arms with a grin. I guess she decided to dump you. To prove that, I charged toward Mark. My big hand slammed him against the wall and roared in his face. Instead of wetting his pants, he smiled and punched my face. I hit the ground, feeling like a train crashed into me. Damn, that hurt. Mark dashed to the right tunnel entrance, but he stopped when Selena approached him from the tunnel. She pointed a spear at him with a silver blade on it. Going somewhere, Wolfie? Wow. How did she find us? While Mark stepped back, shuddering in his pants, Kevin stabbed the syringe into Mark's back. My crappy boyfriend fell to the ground, screaming. Serves him right. I got his blood. Kevin shouted, holding up the red syringe. Mark glared at us. You're dead. You're all dead. And your town is dead too. Mark howled loudly as his body grew big. He tore his tank top off and his black fur grew across his body. His pants exploded off him as his legs grew tall and muscular. A bladed tail grew out and his head changed into the head of the wolf. Indeed, Mark told me the truth. He was the werewolf. A big bad werewolf. And he totally wants me to become like him. Mark slapped Selena out of his way and charged through the tunnel on all fours. Selena landed on her hands without letting the floor hit her face. Are you okay? Kevin asked, rushing to her aid. Selena slowly got up. He should have killed me. How did you find us? Selena held up a blue stone. I used this to track Jessica's talisman. Woo woo. That was why she gave me the necklace. Geez. She should have told us before. Good. Kevin turned toward me. Go get him, girl. He is going to attack the town. Stop calling me a girl. I'm not a dog. Although I felt the urge to growl at him for what he called me, I nodded and sprinted after Mark. Stopping him was more important than kicking Kevin's butt. Outside the mill house, I sniffed around, catching Mark's scent. He might be a mile away, but no matter how far he went, I will catch up to his sorry ass. I dashed through the woods on all fours, so fast, the air blew through my hair. Just like how I totally ran in PE. Over the brush, lights flashed before my eyes, and I totally knew I was close to downtown. After I jumped over the bush, I landed on the street, close to the town square. And oh, my God. Did I totally enter a war zone? The people raced down the street past a few cars crashing as gunshots echoed in the background. I knew Mark was already attacking the town, causing a mass panic. I totally needed to stop him before he kills too many innocent people. What a total jerk. Instead of facing me alone, he just had to bring everyone into our drama. Maybe he thought I was stronger than him, or he thought hurting people around me would make me feel like crap. Whatever. I'm still going to kick his dumbass from Kingdom Come. I ducked behind a hot dog stand, avoiding two couples running past me. If anyone saw me, they would think I was the monster attacking their town. Fighting one werewolf instead of a mob of frightened people sounded better in my opinion. I might be a monster, but I didn't want to go full monster on anyone. I won't become what Mark wanted me to become. Screw him. Sniff. Sniff. The warm scent of hot dogs touched my noses from the stand. I licked my muzzle and opened the lid as the steam escaped. Maybe my wolf belly was hungry, but if I eat something besides humans, I would totally become safe around the people. I grabbed a handful of dogs and stuffed them into my mouth. With the combination of spice, pork, and beef, the dogs melted across my tongue. Totally worth it. Help, a voice screamed. A little boy ran on the other side of the street until he tripped over a half-eaten corpse. Behind him, a tall wolfish shadow approached the boy and grabbed his leg. He held the boy toward his open mouth, ready to bite the boy's head off. "Oh, no you don't, punk." I charged straight for Mark and pounced on him as he dropped the boy. We crashed into a clothing shop through the window and the boy sprinted off. I got up with glasses in my fur. Ouch. 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 Well, maybe a few cuts weren't fatal to me. I brushed the glasses off and watched the black werewolf rise over a pile of fallen clothes. His red eyes burned toward me, snarling with his white fangs out. Mark differed completely from how I remembered him when we first met. Strong, confident, and sometimes a complete smartass. His sharp personality was totally gone now. Only the beast controlled him. Whatever excuse he had, he totally doesn't deserve mercy. If anyone was going to put him out of his misery, it might as well be me. When Mark charged, I jumped out of his way, and he crashed into a mirror. The mirror cracked as he stepped back. Then I tackled him to the floor. I slashed his face until he grabbed my throat. He lifted me and tossed me out through the other window. I landed hard on the sidewalk and scrambled to my feet. Mark stepped out. The claw marks on his face vanished. Because of his damn healing ability, I couldn't stop him from kicking my ass. And with more muscles than my body, I might as well run off with my tail between my legs. But only a chicken would do that, and I wasn't a chicken. If Mark wanted me to become a monster, then he would get his monster. I dashed straight toward him, but he threw a punch into my face. So fast, he knocked me over the street and into a car. Major ouchie, but thank God I wasn't human. Mark picked up another car and tossed it toward me. I rolled off the hood before the car crashed on top. On the ground, I crawled toward a stop sign and got up. I pulled the sign out of the ground and held it up, facing Mark. When the large black werewolf leaped toward me, I swung the sign into his face. He flew to the left and crashed into the park. He rolled across the grass and jumped onto his feet. I charged and jumped for him. He grabbed my arms and threw her to the ground. He climbed on top of me and sunk his fangs into my throat. Aayaweawa. I barely groaned as blood sprayed from my neck. His fangs pulled my vocal cords while burning through my flesh. Some boyfriend you are. To escape from his mouth, I thrust my claws into his shoulders, pushing him back. But his fangs still dug through my neck. Damn, did he lock his jaw on me? If so, he could easily chew off my head. Would that totally kill me for sure? By luck, two cops approached Mark and shot his back. My evil ex roared and released my neck before he charged toward them. I rubbed my half-bitten neck as the flesh closed around my vertebral bone, and I breathed normally. Thank God for that, but the cops were in trouble. Mark chased after them, ignoring. Big bad mistake. With a growl, I sprinted after him across the street. Before Mark jumped on one cop, I grabbed him and tossed him into a hardware store, through the door. Inside, he crashed against a shelf where thin, long silver metal pipes landed next to him. I stepped inside, spotting Mark picking up one silver pipe like a spear. Although his hands sizzled around it, he tossed the pipe toward me. I caught the pipe and tossed it back. The silver pipe impaled through Mark's chest. Crap. I didn't know I would hit him accurately. He roared in pain until his body shifted back into his nude human form. He lost his black fur and his muscles shrunk. I shrunk next as my white fur faded off my muscles, turning lean. My claws, fangs, and tail disappeared next, leaving me in my normal naked human form. Mark's tears dripped down his face. I almost thought you could be the one for me. I could watch him suffer, for all the pain he gave me and his victims. But I kneeled down to him and rubbed his cheek. I would be. If you were good. Mark smiled. I guess you are right. His eyes froze after his last breath left his lips. He was gone. Like a total wimp, I hugged him, crying on his corpse. I knew he was a monster. A total asshole with no remorse for anyone. But deep down inside the dark pit of my heart, he was still my boyfriend. Call it poison, dysfunction, or whatever the hell you could call it. Love was love. I am one of the girls who thought Mark was the one for me. The cute, strong bad boy who could protect any girl in his whole life. If he wasn't a monster or a good monster either way, I would become his mate for the rest of my life. Bear his children, let him nurture me, and feel his cozy warm body against mine. But he had chosen to be a monster, and I just couldn't be with him. Why should I give up my good life for a monster? To live in darkness and fear while treating others like crap? Hell no. I know I'm totally better than that. Still. Whatever soul he had left. I will miss him. It's just how I stupidly felt. Outside, police sirens reached the hardware store. Their red and blue lights flashed against the broken window. Oh crap. If my dad was with them, he would totally freak out seeing me naked in front of my dead ex-boyfriend. And that would totally give me a one-way ticket to the mental institute. I pushed Mark's eyelids down to cover up his eyes. Then I sprinted through the back door to escape. So long, Mark. If you go to hell, I hope I will be the last thing you remembered during your eternal torment. Ouch. I cried while Selena drew the tattoo on my back with a sharp needle. Stop moving, Selena complained. If you ruin the seal, I will kill myself. I gritted my teeth. I know. But this is totally my first time getting a tattoo. It totally hurts. Selena completed the outline of the seal. Now she has to color the seal with Mark's blood, which she mixed in an ink bottle. It won't take long. Geez. You really are a Barbie girl. God, she was totally annoying. I growled, but I needed to relax in order for the teen witch to complete the seal. We weren't sure if the wolf seal was necessary, since I managed to control my werewolf form. Better safe than sorry, I guessed. After Mark's death last night, the cops swarmed the entire town square, searching for the two reported beasts. My dad only found Mark's body and believed he was one of the victims. Good thing I got out the hell before the police discovered me. I'd rather be a cheerleader than a wolf, locked up inside a cage for the rest of my life. After school, Kevin and I stopped by Selena's house. I expected a gothic mansion or a spooky castle. Instead, Selena lived in a normal house in a neighborhood near the woods. I totally underestimated her. Selena suggested she should tattoo the seal on my back so my father wouldn't see it. Good point, except anyone could see it in the showers. But I could trust my cheerleading squad. Keeping secrets was our sacred thing in our friendship. After Selena finished the inking part, she rubbed cold gel across my back. MMMMMH. The pain drifted away, leaving a smile on my lips. You should totally become my personal massage parlor. It will cost you, said Selena. I rolled my eyes. Are you done? Yeah. Just don't cut off the seal. Geez, why the hell would I do that? I rose off the couch and placed my shirt back on. Thank you. Selena smiled like a cat. No spooky problem. You are the first werewolf who I ever helped. I bet. My wristwatch beeped at 3 p.m. Oh, my God. Kevin jumped off his chair as if a bug bit his butt. What? What? I need to go back to school. My cheerleading practice is already starting. Kevin rubbed the back of his head. I can drive you there. Selena giggled with her hand on her lips. I think she can run to school on her own, nerd boy. Well, running on all fours could still totally tire me out. And I needed to save up my energy for practice. Sure, Kevin. I totally won't mind that. Selena rolled her eyes. Whatever. Geez, I totally wished Kevin could drive his car faster to school. But too many damn cars were driving across the street. Oh well. It only took us 5 minutes to reach the parking lot near the football field. The girls were already on the field, doing jumping jacks in front of Tiffany. Watching them practice brought warmness to my heart. After Kevin parked his car, he turned toward me. Here we are. It looks like they already started without you. I shrugged with a frown. Totally. Are you feeling okay? Maybe a little. What is wrong? I sucked in a deep breath and blew the air out. What if Mark isn't the only one in this town? What if there are other things out there, like him? You mean werewolves? Worse. More monsters. Kevin bit his lower lip. There might be true. Our world is a big place for them to hide. But what if they attack this town? I rubbed my eyes. What we just witnessed might be totally the beginning. If they do come here, what could we do? Kevin smiled and placed his hand on my right shoulder. Don't worry about that. If nobody else can stop them, you can fight them. You will not be alone since Selena and I are with you. I got the science, she got the magic, and you got the strength. I smiled. Thank you. After a hug, I stepped out and ran to the field. Whatever else was out there, I will totally be ready for them. This is my home, and I will protect it. As a werewolf cheerleader. A note from Miles Trombley, this is the last chapter of Book 1. Please let me know what you think. I am not sure if I will continue this series in the first-person narration. Changing the style through my finished drafts was tough, and Jessica's voice is annoying. But thank you for reading. I will finish my other projects before I will continue this series. And beware of the full moon. A note from Miles Trombley, Mighty Wolves. Mighty Wolves. You can do it, or no one can. Go, Mighty Wolves. I waved my pom-poms in the air while standing on Malaya's shoulders. The crowd roared behind us, sending tremors through my spine, which wasn't creepy at all. God, I totally love cheering. Not just for the popularity, but to make everyone totally happy. If they were happy, so am I. I climbed off Malaya and sat down between Holly and Tiffany. Our football team performed a kickoff and charged toward the Hillside Hawks. We only have 5 minutes left in the game. But if we make one score, the Mighty Wolves will be ahead. Then we will totally win for sure. First, we totally need to get the ball back. Run, Billy! A fat middle-aged woman shouted above me. Run or no cake. Geez, someone was totally a mama's boy. Too bad my dad couldn't make it. He was working late again tonight, trying to hunt down the werewolf, which so happened to be me. He thought the werewolf attacked my boyfriend 2 months ago. But that wasn't the truth. My boyfriend, Mark, was the monster. He bit me to try to turn me into his everlasting mate. But after I rejected his ass, he threw a temper tantrum and attacked the town. Everyone totally freaked out when the big bad wolf rampaged across the street. Luckily, I made it there on time to save the day. Mark was stronger than me, but I managed to push him through a silver metal bar inside a hardware store. Watching him die broke my heart, although he was evil. All he ever wanted was someone to love him since he has been alone in the woods for a long time. But I still hated him for what he did to many girls before me. And he was freaking 100 years old. Gross. He may totally look young, but he was a freaking old man on the inside. Sorry, Mark. If I knew your true age, we wouldn't have dated like a royal couple. Oh well. It was time for me to move on anyway. For a month, I trained to control my transformation with my nerdy friend, Kevin. He's a total supernatural expert who knows a lot about monsters and magic. He researched how werewolves work and taught me how to control the beast inside of me. Plus, a little karate and yoga helped me stay calm so I wouldn't lose control. So far I managed to control my power, no matter how much stress I went through. And I wouldn't have done it without Kevin. Ooh, Jessica. Tiffany smiled at me, pursing her big red lips. Guess what? I glanced at her. Guess what? She giggled while biting her lower lip like a beaver. Brian is having a party tomorrow night. Does that sound totally awesome? Oh wow. Another party. How exciting. My girlfriends love to party after our football teams win. But their parties were always repetitive. Drinking, dancing, and playing stupid-ass games. Sometimes there were make-out sessions, but I totally avoided them, especially since Mark's death. I told my friends I wanted to wait before I meet someone else. That was kind of true, but I didn't want anyone to figure out I am a werewolf. Imagine my new boyfriend was about to kiss me, right as I suddenly transform into a furry beast with a wet muzzle. That would totally freak him out, and nobody else would dare go out with me. That was one of the things I feared while being a werewolf. Look out! A player shouted. I glanced up and saw the football flying directly toward Holly. Oh my god! That ball is going to hit her. I had no choice but to jump off the bench, reaching for the diving football. I caught it between my teeth, tasting its leathery fabric with dirt in it. Yuck! I landed on my hands, feet, and shook the ball in my mouth. I wanted to tear the ball apart until I noticed a lot of eyes were on me. My squad paused at me while standing off the bench. Some of the audience gazed at me too, making my spine curl. What the total hell, Jessica? Tiffany exclaimed. You caught the ball like a dog. Malaya shouted. Oh, my god. I couldn't believe I totally done that. Sometimes my inner werewolf instincts kicked in whenever I see a ball fly past me. And sometimes I lose control whenever I totally get pissed off. I still have the magical wolf tattoo on my back, which helped me contain my inner beast. It does work, but I suppose it couldn't keep all my wolf habits in line. Controlling my instincts felt like controlling a wild dog on a freaking leash. I spat the ball out and rose onto my feet, rubbing the drool off my mouth. Sorry. Great catch. Tiffany's boyfriend, Brian, rushed up toward us from the field. I gotta admit, Brian was super hot. He has a square chisel face with short blonde hair that made him look like a hero from an action movie. Muscular and tall enough to carry any girl in his bulky arms. Tiffany sure knew her taste in guys. Thanks, I said, biting my lip. He held out his hand toward me while grinning. Can I have the ball back? Oh. I placed the football in his palm. Here you go. Go get them, baby. Tiffany shouted, shaking her pom-poms up. Brian blew her a kiss and sprinted back to his team. I rolled my eyes, imagining how awkward if they would kiss in front of me. My other friends wouldn't care, but my skin would cringe at them. Why couldn't anyone get a room and smooch in there? At least Mark and I enjoyed making out where no one could peep on us. God, those memories still hurt me. Tiffany, having a boyfriend, never bothered me. But sometimes seeing them happy together reminded me of my happiness with Mark. So I pretended to be annoyed in order to stay loyal to my friends. Tiffany and Brian dated for only a couple of weeks. They met like a typical teen couple in a high school romantic movie. A football player and cheerleader falling in love at first sight. Since Brian was our popular quarterback, of course, he would get our cheer captain. He was a typical jock who loved sports more than schoolwork. Yeah, he acted dumb sometimes, but he was very strong. Totally strong. And Tiffany got him all to herself. Good for her. I sat down and watched the game with my squad. Hopefully, I won't make another embarrassing stunt in front of everyone again. So what party is it this time? I asked Tiffany, catching her cherry vanilla scent from her long red hair. A Halloween party, she answered. My baby is setting it up tomorrow. It's totally going to rock. Where? Tiffany giggled. He'll tell us after the game. Brian never threw a Halloween party before. He usually threw parties at his house whenever his parents left for business trips. They usually have days off on holidays, especially on Halloween. Maybe his parents left town so they could have their own Halloween treat without their annoying son. Oh, my God! Holly shouted. He got the ball. I saw Brian running across the field with the football on his left arm. 2 Hawk players charged in front of him on their field side. Oh goodness! Was he totally about to make it? A note from Miles Trombley, just to let you know, if I miss a day, I will post the next chapter on the next day. And my word count will be between 600 to 1,000 words. The 2 Hawk players held out their arms, ready to jump toward Brian like hungry wolves. Hawks I meant. Our team is wolves. He. Brian kept running, rushing toward the players. What was he totally thinking? If he runs into them, they will whoa. Brian launched himself into the air, flying over the Hawks. He landed on his feet behind them and continued his run. That move totally astonished me, making my heart race. How could he jump like that? He leaped as if he stepped on a spring, hidden on the ground. No bulky guy could jump like a freaking horse. He would need to be totally athletic with a light body to jump like that. But his upper body looked heavier than his legs, probably 100 pounds or so. Either way, his move looked unnatural, like how I could jump with my wolf powers. And no. If Brian was a werewolf, I would have already smelled his scent. My wolf nose can smell anything. He charged before leaping again, and then he slid across the Hawks' touch zone. His head almost bumped into the goal post. The referee blew his whistle, so hard, his red cheeks puffed out. Touchdown. After the clock rang, the crowd roared like a thunderstorm, rocking my bones. We barely won before the timer ran out. Thank God. The girls and I jumped off the bench to shake our pom-poms for the victor. Tiffany, on the other hand, dropped her pom-poms and rushed to her boyfriend. She tackled him like a hungry rhino. She held him down and kissed him, flat on his lips. Oh, my God. Tiffany totally has no definition of getting a room. But everyone else didn't seem to care. They kept cheering while the other team walked away with their tails between their legs. So long, losers. That was what you get for leaving a cow on our school's rooftop. Seriously, they actually did that last week. When school started, everyone kept hearing the cow moan outside. We didn't know where it was freaking coming from until the janitor called the fire department. He found the cow standing on the roof, crying its head off. The poor thing was stranded and totally confused. After the firefighters rescued the cow, the police discovered the cow came from a farm near the Hillside High School. The Hawks admitted they left the cow on our roof for a harmless prank. But they still got busted for stealing a defenseless cow. They're just totally pissed at us for losing their last game. Freaking a-holes. They better not steal another cow for losing this game. My dad would totally lock them up for good. After the game, we joined Brian's celebration at Burger Queen, the best diner in Moondale. While his team gobbled up the burgers at the back, Brian sat with us near his girlfriend. I ate a basket full of barbecue chicken strips and drank a bottle of cola. My diet was still meat and meat only. Werewolves can only eat meat. Anything green will make them sick. I don't know why, since I was a vegan. But overall, eating meat was better than getting sick. How in the world could you jump like that? Holly asked, twinkling her eyes. Brian sucked up his chocolate milkshake and allowed his breath to escape. Protein, baby. Lots of protein. I glared at him. What protein? Like superhuman juice? Brian placed his paper cup down. The best kind in the world. He glanced at Tiffany and tickled her belly. Oh, Brian. She giggled while slapping his chest. You're going to make me puke. Hee hee hee. My stomach grumbled. Already I felt like puking as they acted like little children. Oh woo, you two are cute together, Malaya purred. I could mash you both together inside a blender. My god, does anyone have a sense of dignity in my squad? I licked the sauce off my lips. So Brian, Tiffany said you are throwing a Halloween party tomorrow. Did your parents leave? Brian took a fry and nibbled on it. Yeah. Cool, huh? My parents didn't leave, though. They are joining the adults at the town hall Halloween party. Boring. He swallowed the fry. But my Halloween party will blow everyone's minds. It will be scary and fun. Where will your party be? The Dragon Keep. You know, that creepy old castle at Moon Island? He ate another fry. It is the perfect spot for a Halloween party. I never heard about the castle before, but Moon Island was the perfect spot for a private party. Excellent idea, Brian. Malaya exclaimed. But how will we get there? And I don't think our parents will allow us to party there at night, said Holly. Brian grinned. Trust me, I know someone who can take us there across the lake. Just make up a story for your parents, and we won't have a problem. Okay. I pointed my finger at Tiffany. But no sex. My captain laughed. You are totally a party pooper, Jessica. You can trust us. Going to an isolated creepy castle might not be so bad, but after my monster encounter with Mark, my toes were always ready to spring into danger. Still, I wasn't sure if this Halloween party was a good idea. Halloween has arrived, the day when the trick-or-treaters storm out for candy. Sometimes they come out during the day, but totally they roam at night. That is when all the freaks and sweets are available. I used to enjoy collecting from houses when I was little. My mom took me to the best rich neighborhoods to get the bigger candy. Those nights were totally awesome before she passed away. I stopped trick-or-treating because too many hurtful memories of my mom's death kept flooding me. And I grew out of trick-or-treating after I became a teenager. Now I only go to Halloween parties with my friends if my dad allows me. Usually, he lets me go when he works during Halloween. When I was stuck at home, I left a bucket of candy outside and watched freaky horror flicks on the couch. I watched them with my dad, which became our tradition together. Without him, it didn't feel the same. Anyway, tonight should be interesting. Better than watching a horror movie alone at night. Hopefully, no danger will find us at the castle. As planned, I told my dad I will be going out with my friends for the entire Halloween night. He told me to call him if anything happens. I promised him before he left for work at the police station. Easy, huh? Sometimes he was lazy, but he still cared about me. His job totally tires him out. While I packed my belongings, the doorbell rang downstairs. It could be Tiffany, arriving to pick me up. The crew and I planned to head to the island early, before dusk. That way, we could set up the party before more partygoers arrive. Like what kind of party would it be without Halloween decorations, food, and drinks? I answered the door, only to meet Kevin and Selena instead. Oh, hey guys, I said, tucking my pink sweater. What's up? We were wondering what you were doing for Halloween tonight, Kevin asked, smirking like the dork he is. Selena and I plan to investigate a special place later. What's special? Do. The Dragon Keep Castle, Selena answered. My school journalism club instructed me to investigate a paranormal place for their annual Halloween issue, Kevin explained, holding up his blue notebook. I thought it would be nice if we go to the castle together for fun. I crossed my arms. Why Dragon Keep? Because it's haunted. Selena wiggled her white fingers toward me. Woo-woo. My skin crawled. Ugh, she's totally annoying. Totally haunted? Kind of, but it has a dark history, Kevin stated. What dark history? I asked. You should know. The founder of Moondale built that castle in the middle of Moon Lake near the town. As the town grew, young girls disappeared each night. One investigator sneaked into the mayor's castle, then we found the abducted girls chained inside a dungeon. Each of them has bite marks on their necks, and they behaved like animals. With the evidence, the town attacked the mayor, driving him back to his castle. When they set his castle on fire, he vanished. Nobody has ever seen him or heard from him again. Kevin cleared his throat. Lord Dragon is responsible for abducting the girls. Based on the victims' wounds, the investigators believed the mayor was sucking on the girls' necks. Tasting their blood. My stomach totally turned. He was drinking their blood? Kevin shrugged. Yeah. Why? That is totally gross. I could vomit right now, but I didn't want to ruin my comfy sweater. He's a vampire, Selena answered with a chuckle. Kevin twisted his lips. Well, the reports didn't say that. The people thought he was a serial killer who built the town to attract victims. But it could be possible. Selena rolled her eyes. Of course it is possible. He is from Transylvania. First a werewolf, and now a vampire? What other weird stuff does this town have? I totally don't buy that, I said. But you should, Jessica, said Kevin. We know werewolves exist, and you are one of them now. Vampires probably existed too. So you think this dragon is totally hiding in the castle still? Unlikely. There are no more reports about his whereabouts. His castle has been quiet for years too. Maybe that could be a good relief. I could deal with another werewolf, but vampires were not in my category. So you want to come with us? Kevin asked, smirking. Well, this was totally convenient. It seemed like everyone planned to go to Moon Island for Halloween. Kevin and Selena could come to the party, depending on how long they wanted to stay. But it would be up to Tiffany and Brian to decide. After all, they will be running the party. Although Kevin and Selena weren't popular, nobody would probably care if they come. And all the guys might find Selena hot since goth girls were still a thing. As I opened my mouth, something crashed upstairs. The hairs on my back tingled as I faced the stairs, gazing up. What the hell? Did somebody broke into my bedroom? I walked up the stairs while my friends followed me on their tippy toes. Who the hell would break into my house while I was still at home? Inside my bedroom, an orange cat licked its front paw on my bed near the open window. Below my makeup desk, my small makeup mirror laid face down on the carpet. That goddamn cat again. I chased that cat before when my werewolf instincts kicked in. I didn't care about cats before, but I guessed wolves hated them. Now I totally had the reason to eat that cat. It sneaked through my window and knocked my mirror down. Thank God it wasn't broken. My dad wouldn't buy me another one because they were too damn expensive. You! I shouted at it. The cat froze, widening its yellow eyes at me. If that little bastard pisses on my bed, half of its 9 lives will be gone. Get out of my room. I dropped to all fours and snarled. The cat only hissed at me, raising its back. I jumped toward my bed, opening my mouth as my teeth sharpen, ready to bite the damn cat. But the cat jumped through my window as I landed on my bed. I then poked my head through the window and barked at the cat. It ran across the backyard and clambered over the fence. Lucky bastard. I still wanted to eat that damn cat. Is this a bad time? Kevin asked, standing outside my bedroom with Selena. I sighed and closed my window. Sorry about that. I glared at Selena. I thought you told me the tattoo can control my instincts? Selena pursed her black lips. I didn't say it will control your werewolf instinct. It controls the beast inside you. I rolled my eyes. Whatever. So do you want to come with us or stay home? Kevin asked. I sat up on my bed. Sorry, I am heading to a Halloween party tonight. However, the party will be at Moon Island inside Dragon Keep. Kevin dropped his mouth. The Dragon Keep? Seriously? Yeah, well, it wasn't my total idea. Brian planned the party to take place there. Selena lowered her eyebrows. Who's Brian? Tiffany's boyfriend. They dated for 2 weeks so far. Why Dragon Keep? It's completely isolated, said Kevin. I raised my hands up. Duh. It's totally creepy and perfect for a Halloween party. With no adults around, we can do whatever we want. Except no sex. How will you pull that off? I just told Dad I'm going out with my friends tonight. He doesn't care as long as I keep tabs on him. Can we come? Selena asked, grinning. Kevin glared at her. Selena, we are supposed to be investigating the castle. Sure, but we can still party like wild animals. She rocked her hips with her arms up. I also like to dance naked in the woods. Uh-huh. Some harlot she would totally be if she comes to the party. That is totally up to Tiffany, I said. But nobody is dancing naked there. Selena grimaced with her arms down. No fair. True paranormal investigators are not distracted by parties, said Kevin, fixing his glasses. If we want to find a good story for the school article, we have to avoid the party. No fair. What time are you heading there? I asked. Kevin checked his watch. Near sunset. When will you be there? Early so my friends can set up the party before dark. Outside, someone honked their loud car horn in front of my house, and I could guess who that was. Oh. That must be Tiffany. I exclaimed, and grabbed my backpack. I'll meet you there before the party. Kevin grinned. Okay. The wind blew through my long blonde hair in Tiffany's cherry red vintage car. I didn't mind Tiffany's car not having a hood over my head. Feeling the cold air on the road was totally relaxing. Tiffany wore a red tank top and a light red skirt over her long white skinny legs. I wouldn't be surprised if she dressed up as a giant rose for Halloween. Did you get your costume? Tiffany asked. I patted my backpack between my legs. It's in my bag. What are you dressing up as? A vampire cheerleader. Tiffany laughed softly. How original. Yeah, I wanted to wear something simple in case I transform into my werewolf form. My fake cheerleader outfit was orange with a skull on it. Very sketchy with soft fabric that could shine in the light. If I go wolf, the costume should stay on my body without ripping apart. Instead of makeup, I brought plastic fangs that were easy to remove. Of course, I could be a werewolf cheerleader, but a werewolf costume wasn't cheap. Plus, I'm already a werewolf. If I transformed for the party, nobody might tell the difference. They might get so drunk, they would think I was wearing an expensive furry costume with advanced animatronic parts. But I couldn't talk and I might attack someone unintendedly. Who knew how unpredictable my wolf instincts might do at a party? And there would be too many questions for me to answer. So, I chose to be a fake vampire for Halloween instead. No fans or buts. I glared at Tiffany a little. But what is your costume? A Playboy bunny? Tiffany gave me a sharp look until she laughed. My Brian would totally love that, but it is a surprise. As a typical rich girl, Tiffany could afford almost anything from the shopping mall. Last Halloween, she brought a white dress covered in diamonds with a crystal tiara crown. Geez. If I wanted to buy that type of dress, I would totally need to rob a bank. Whatever surprise she brought, I bet it would be totally expensive too. I can't wait, I said. What is Brian wearing? Tiffany shrugged. I don't know yet. It might be a super duper surprise. Hee. I would totally laugh if Brian only wore his football uniform tonight. How original is that? Through downtown, Tiffany reached the industrial district near Moon Lake. The district has warehouses, a lumber mill, and office buildings on each block. We entered a parking lot and stopped in front of the harbor. I helped Tiffany carry her duffel bag across the dock. It was heavy on her, but not to me. I could lift up anything with my super werewolf strength. "What do you got in this bag?" I asked. Tiffany gazed at her bag. "Chips, cookies, pie, and garlic bread. My costume is in there too, in a plastic bag." "Why garlic bread?" She snickered. "I love garlic bread." Uh-huh. I saw Tiffany brought a bucket of garlic bread to a party once. And whenever I pick up lunch at the cafeteria, the garlic bread pan was always empty. Don't just blame the fat kids eating the bread. Before I met Tiffany, I never met anyone else loves garlic bread than chocolate. Tiffany wasn't Italian, nor even her family. She just loves garlic bread. Too much. At the end of the dock, I saw Holly and Malaya waiting while holding their backpacks. They both wore sweaters and jeans, except Holly wore a beanie. This was totally too early to wear our Halloween costumes. "Where's my baby?" Tiffany shrugged. Malaya shrugged. "I don't know. He told us to meet him here." "We've been waiting here for like half an hour," said Holly. "What the total hell? Did Brian ditch us?" "No way." Tiffany shouted. "Brian would never leave us hanging." Malaya scowled at her. "How do you know?" "He could have run off with another group of girls." Tiffany snarled, stomping toward Malaya. "Do you want me to push you into the water? Whoa. Whoa." I stepped between them. "We're not here to fight. We're here to party." Malaya stepped back and pointed her finger at Tiffany. "But I didn't come here to wait my ass off." "Maybe he is late," Holly suggested with her hands up. "He would have called me if he was running late," said Tiffany. "How about you call him to make sure his dumbass didn't get lost," said Malaya, crossing her arms. "Geez, did she wake up on the wrong side of the bed?" Tiffany glared and pulled out her cell phone. She held her phone to her ear, keeping her narrow gaze on Malaya. Both of them kept glaring as if they were in a Mexican standoff. If Brian didn't answer, one of them might swim with the fishes. "Hi," Brian's voice answered. Tiffany smiled. "Hey, baby. Where are you?" "We're at the dock." "I'm close." She turned toward the water and blew out a sigh of relief. A white boat approached the dock, with Brian driving it. He waved to us as he parked the boat toward the dock. He wore his red and white jock jacket over his jeans. I was pretty sure that wouldn't be his costume. "Oh my God, baby." Tiffany rubbed her chest. "You almost gave us a heart attack." Brian switched the engine off and tied the rope to the post. "My bad. The boys and I arrived early. I left them on the island to begin the preparation." "Boys?" I asked. Brian climbed out of the boat. "Yeah, Rory and Kaysen. My non-football buddies. They want to party too. So, they are helping me out." "Is your football team showing up?" I asked. "Maybe. I sent them an invite, but they haven't responded yet. But I know they never leave a party hanging." "I bet. With so many boys and girls showing up, the party will totally go wild. Maybe I won't get the chance to stop anyone from getting laid." "So, is everyone here?" Brian asked. I held up my finger. "I actually have 2 other friends who want to come." Tiffany glanced toward me. "What other friends?" "Kevin and Selena. They are doing a science project on the island. After they finish, they asked if they could come." Brian shrugged. "Sure, why not? Anyone can come." "Are they on their way now?" "Yoo, they said they can only make it in the afternoon. Personal stuff, I guess." "Well, if they do, they better call you if they need a ride." I smirked. "I'm totally sure they will." Brian grinned and clapped his hands once. "All right. Hop aboard. Moon Island, here come the girls." The girls and I laughed. We climbed down into the boat as Brian untied the ropes. I sat between Malaya and Holly in the back. Do you own this boat, Brian? Brian switched the engine back on as Tiffany wrapped her arms around him. My dad rented this for fishing. He said I can borrow it tonight. And what excuse did you tell him? Malaya asked. Brian slowly steered the boat from the dock. I'm going fishing with the hottest girls on the planet. Tiffany laughed and kissed his cheek. I'm your hottest girl on the planet. Hell yeah. After turning the boat, he sped up the craft from the harbor. I hoped I don't get totally seasick. I never rode in a boat for a long-ass time. Not since Dad took me on one of his boring fishing trips at sea. Damn. I swore the lake grew wider and wider since we left the harbor. I never rode a boat across the lake before. On the shore, I thought the lake was thin and not so totally big. But damn. It looked like a vast ocean, surrounded by green mountains, beneath the orange sky. And I totally bet the water was as deep as a bottomless pit. The water was freaking dark, with little shadows swimming by. Fishes of course, but who knew what else could swim down there? Werewolf mermaids? Ha 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 ha. Yeah right. Toward the center of the lake, I spotted the island. I couldn't see the castle, because tall trees stretched along the shore. Moon Island has a big forest and small beaches around it. I wasn't sure if anyone else had stepped foot on the island since the town abandoned the castle. While alone in the lake, the island looked silent. Brian steered the boat toward a wooden dock, touching the beach. He turned off the engine and tied the rope to a metal post. Welcome to Moon Island, ladies. Please enjoy your stay. I stared at the dock over the boat's edge. The brown wooden plates have dark spots all over them. A few cracks too. Is this dock safe? Brian smiled and jumped out of the boat. He landed on the dock and hopped on it. It's safe. See? Only an idiot would jump onto a bridge without thinking. But since no cracks snapped beneath the dock, I picked up my bag and climbed out. Don't be a buzzkill, Jessica. Tiffany placed her duffel bag onto the dock and climbed out. Brian knows this place. I gazed at Brian. How much do you totally know about this island? Brian shrugged. It is perfect for a party. No adults, and no cops. Are there wild animals? Holly asked. Brian glanced at the forest. Only birds and bugs. My friends checked the entire place already. We found no dangerous wolves or bears here. I hate bugs, said Malaya, climbing out. We got bug sprays, too. So no worries, okay? Malaya sighed. Yeah, but I better not feel any ants crawling up my butt. Oh chill out, Malaya, said Tiffany. You totally need to chill. I glanced at the water while following the squad into the forest. The town was barely visible on the other side of the lake. Geez, if anyone tries to swim back to the town, they would totally drown. Not me, for sure. Only silver can kill me, but I bet I could walk across the lake bottom without breathing. I never tried it before because I thought my lungs would explode. That would totally hurt. In the forest, we strolled across a clear trail sprinkled with tiny leaves. The grass was short and the trees were huge. So huge, their branches and leaves nearly covered the sky. Like nightfall has already arrived. I sniffed, smelling only pine and dirt through the mellow air. The forest was pretty musty, and nothing was unusual about it. I hoped Kevin and Selena would show up sooner so I can have backup. How much time do we have before sundown? Holly asked. Brian stared at his watch. In 3 hours. It is only 5 p.m. Already dinner time, but the next crew should bring more food over. Not everyone could live on drinking. If nobody brings any meat, I feared the entire party could become dinner. But thanks to my tattoo, I should totally have no worries. I stopped in my footsteps when something rattled close by. A black bush beneath a tree moved a bit. Since there was no wind, how could it move like that? I could tell someone or something was hiding behind the bush. I closed my eyes and sniffed at the bush's direction without approaching it. A few scents caught my enhanced senses from behind the bush. Sweat and body odor with a breath of weed, enough to tell me a person was hiding there, obviously. "Hey guys," I whispered. "There is something here." Brian and the girls paused, turning toward me. "What?" Tiffany asked in a low tone. I pointed my finger at the bush. They glanced at the bush. Tiffany glared at me. "I don't see any -boo." A fat guy in a black hood jumped from the bush, waving his hands in the air. White makeup glazed his face with black smudges around his blue eyes above his black painted nose, representing a skull face. The girls gasped as if a mouse ran up their dresses. I only glared, expecting the kid to pop out of nowhere. When I can smell danger, nothing can scare me off my guard. Brian laughed. "Nice one, Rory." The fat kid laughed and removed his hood. He scratched his bushy ginger hair. "I scared you. I scared you." Malaya rolled her eyes, annoyed. "Whatever. Girls, this is Rory." "My favorite pain in the ass from out of town," said Brian. The fat kid strolled toward us while brushing the leaves off his butt. "So you are the cheerleaders from Brian's school?" "Damn, he is lucky." Tiffany giggled and wrapped her arms around her boyfriend. "He's lucky to have me. He is our hottest champ at school." "Tiffany, right?" Rory chuckled. "Brian never shuts up about you." Tiffany curled her lips. "He better be." She rubbed Brian's ear. "Because he will be in deep trouble by me." Brian giggled as he shivered. "Oh, baby. You know I will never stop talking about you. Mark told no one about me when we were dating." After he revealed his dark secret, I now understood why. He was an immortal werewolf, keeping his distance from human civilization. If he had friends, he would have talked to them about me? A girl feels special when her boyfriend lets the entire world know their existence. But without Mark, it didn't matter to me anymore. Rory glanced at me. "And you are Jessica?" "Yeah," I answered. His eyes followed my curvy body. "Damn, you're hot. How did you know I was hiding behind that bush?" "I saw it move." "Really?" He scratched his belly. "Those damn bugs must be crawling all over me." And he totally needed to take a bath. I can smell any dirty boy a mile away. "Rory, do you know where Kaysen is?" Brian asked. Rory gazed at the trail straight ahead of us. "He's probably waiting inside the castle." We cleaned the main hall, except the upper floors. "Did you explore the entire castle?" I asked. "No, Brian told us to prepare the lower floor." "The castle is pretty big," said Brian. "He won't have enough time to clean the entire place." "How big?" Holly asked. "Trust me, it is big. Probably big enough for anyone to get lost inside. There could also be hidden places where naughty couples could hide and make out. I know parties could totally turn wild when adults aren't around unless the adults like to go crazy with the teens. Then let's hit the castle now." Rory smiled at me and held out his hand. "Shall we?" I stared at his open palm. "Shall we what?" "Escort. It's a gentleman thing." "Oh, I see. Just because I'm totally hot, he thought he could score me tonight." I'm still wasn't in the mood to meet someone else, and Rory smelled like French fries left under a dusty couch. "No thanks, I can totally walk by myself," I said. Rory shrugged. "Oh well. Maybe next time." "How about never a next time?" "Boys." We continued through the forest behind Brian and Rory. There better not be any more jump scares at the castle. Brian was totally right. The castle was freaking big. Standing 5 floors tall, the castle almost looked like a mansion with gray stone brick walls and one tower at the top. Like one of those Gothic castles you see in horror movies where vampires lived. 4 bat-winged gargoyle statues perched on each corner below the tower. The roof aged with peeling black paint, crumbling off crooked roof sheathing. Although the windows were clear, darkness clouded them from inside. As I gazed at the castle, an icy feeling crept through my skin. The hairs on my neck rose, and my heart thumped in my chest. "What do you think?" Brian asked. Tiffany jumped up and down with a huge grin on her face. "It looks awesome, baby." "Very perfect," Holly agreed. "It reminds me of a haunted castle in a theme park." "Are you sure there are no monsters in there?" Malaya laughed. While everyone chuckled and giggled, I kept my gaze on the castle. Was I the only one receiving a bad feeling about the creepy-looking castle? "What do you think, Jessica?" Tiffany asked, facing me. I snapped out of my trance and smiled at her awkwardly. It looks totally fine. I can already imagine partying inside there." Rory chuckled with his arms crossed. "Am I inside your imagination too?" I glared at him. Being a creepo doesn't get you laid unless you're inside a crappy supernatural romance novel. "Come on, let's go inside." Brian walked up the stone steps, reaching the red double door. "There are more interesting things inside." When he pulled the doors open, a crocodile head popped out, roaring at Brian's face. He fell back screaming and almost landed on top of me. I caught him as the girls screamed behind me. The crocodile in a black cloak laughed and pulled his rubber mask off. He was only a tall black kid with a dark high-top haircut. "Got you!" he shouted with his finger pointing at us. Damn. If I had smelled him sooner, I would have warned my friends. Then none of us would have freaking heart attacks. Damn boys. Brian rubbed his chest while sighing. Damn, Kaysen. You scared the shit out of us. "I think I almost wet myself," said Rory, breathing hard. Kaysen laughed. "It's Halloween, yo. You should be expecting this." "Did you both plan this?" Brian eyed both Rory and Kaysen. The fat kid shook his head. "I swore I was the only one who planned to scare you." "I planned to scare all of you without telling," Kaysen explained. Was I the better scarier? The girls and I shrugged, still catching our breaths. Comparing Rory and Kaysen's scare tactic, I admitted Kaysen scared us better than Rory. The fat kid didn't scare all of us after I warned my friends. He shook the bush by mistake, and I smelled his gross body odor. Kaysen had the better advantage while hiding behind the castle entrance. I couldn't smell him from outside the door. With the rubber crocodile mask on, I almost thought he was a T-Rex stamping out through the freaking door. Damn, I could have attacked him if Brian didn't fall on me. "Sorry ladies, but this is Kaysen," said Brian, facing us. "He is worse than Rory." Kaysen shook his mask in his left fist. "Blah. You're both pranksters?" Malaya asked, raising her left eyebrow. "We just like to mess around, that's all," said Rory. "So, you want to come in?" "I won't bite," said Kaysen, grinning. I rolled my eyes. "Yes, please. And there better not be any more freakouts inside this castle." Kaysen chuckled. "I wouldn't bet your hopes on that." The boys held the doors open for us to walk into the castle. My breath left my lips as I glanced around. The main hall was large in size and contained different types of architecture and grand artwork, paintings, vases, and candles lining the walls. There was also a large red carpet covering the main entrance to the hall, including a stairway leading to the upper level. Candelabras were placed on tables in each corner. The hall almost looked clean, but I noticed dirt and dust balls littered along the carpet. Talk about no spring cleaning. A chandelier hung beneath the high cathedral ceiling. Archways lined the left and right walls, beneath the second-floor balconies. 4 doors on both sides, but I couldn't see the other doors at the top. Besides the floor, the entrance hall looked totally cleaned. The old article said the townspeople burnt the castle down after they chased the mayor into his home. I expected to find charcoal and rubble all over the place. But it totally looked like someone fully cleaned up the castle and redecorated it. Rory and Kaysen couldn't have fixed the castle by themselves in one day. Maybe the papers were totally bogus. What do you think? Brian asked. Holly widened her eyes with a big smile. It looks awesome. Malaya narrowed her eyes at the floor and at the ceiling. Did you guys clean this whole place by yourselves? That was totally what I wanted to know. Rory glanced around as he rubbed the back of his head. I don't know. This place looked clean when we got here. Did someone live here before we got here? I asked. Kaysen looked around. I didn't see anyone here. Maybe they left a long time ago. I never heard anyone moving to the castle and leaving their stuff behind. If someone moved into the castle, the whole town would have known. Maybe the real estate company, Greenville, sent carpenters and cleaners to maintain the castle in case a rich family wanted to buy it. Who knows, I only cared about cheerleading with my friends. Brian shrugged. Whatever. Setting up the party here is what matters. Would you like a tour before we begin the decorations? Tiffany smirked. I am totally up for that. Her eyes glanced around. My family could buy this castle in an instant. Then I would be called a princess. Malaya giggled. A cheerleader princess? Tiffany smiled at her with the click of her tongue. Good one. Come on, we'll show you upstairs. Brian walked up the staircase as we followed him. While behind, I sniffed the air with my eyes closed. Only dust and dry paint flowed around me. If I smelled a monster hiding in the castle, I would know already. Oh yeah, as if that was totally obvious. The second floor has 2 doors. One leads to the diner, and the other has a hallway with 4 rooms. A library, bathroom, storage, and an art gallery. Near the diner was the ballroom, which Brian suggested where the party should take place. I totally agreed with him. Our party should be called the Monster Ball. Hee hee hee. 3 tall windows stood along the left wall over the marble checkerboard floor. Candle holders hung on the right wall between paintings. The paintings were mountains, lakes, and forests. I wondered who placed them there. So far, I smelled nothing weird. Only Rory smelled like a wet armpit. My cell phone buzzed, and I answered. It. Hello? We're here, Kevin answered. Where? At the docks. Can you meet us? Sure. I'll see you soon. I hung my phone and turned to my friends. Kevin and Selena are here. I'm going to meet them. Okay, but don't take too long, said Tiffany. We might need your help to decorate this place. Just give me a ring, and I will be back. I left quickly, hoping Kevin and Selena will be fine on the island. After running through the forest, I reached the dock over the lakeshore. Kevin and Selena stood on the dock next to a motor raft, which I assumed they rode on across the lake. Kevin wore a red and black plaid jacket over blue jeans. He carried a backpack, and his shoes were hiking boots. Selena wore a black sleeveless t-shirt with a glittering guitar image below her white cleavage. Gray jeans with holes on her knees, and black sneakers on her feet. Same long black hair except she has black circles around her eyes. Maybe some sort of eyeliner for goth girls. Her lips gleamed in black lip gloss and dark blush lined across her cheekbones, giving her face a chiseled look. A total goth boy's wet dream. I blinked at them. Are those your costumes? Yes, Kevin answered with a small grin. I studied his outfit. What are you supposed to be? A lumberjack. I chuckled. What a cheap costume. I gazed at Selena's wear. And you? A rock star. Selena pointed her black painted fingernail at her chest. See? I glared. Yeah, right. It's the same outfit you totally keep wearing. And a lumberjack? I'm totally sure they wear helmets and carry axes too. Selena sent me a sharp look. And what is your costume, Barbie girl? I growled. For your total information, my costume is back at the castle. And nobody is going to see it until tonight. Yeah, I left my backpack in the ball. I wouldn't carry it back to the dock and risk losing it in the forest. That would totally suck. We didn't have time to buy costumes for the party, Kevin explained. So we gathered what we could find at home. And we needed to wear something to explore the island, said Selena, shaking her head. Doo-oo-oo. God, Selena loves pushing my nerves off the cliff. If she wasn't a witch, I could totally push her into the water. But I wouldn't let her drown. I may be a monster, but not a heartless monster. If I wanted to fight monsters to protect my father and friends, I needed to keep my humanity in check. I glanced at Kevin's backpack and Selena's duffel bag. What is inside those bags? Our duffel bags? Kevin looked down at his bag. Oh, I brought some research books and weapons. I crossed my arms. What kind of weapons? Stakes, crosses, garlic, and a bottle of holy water. In case we run into a vampire. Selena held up her bag. I brought my hocus pocus gear in here. She grinned. And some candy for the horny boys tonight. I raised my eyebrows at her. Did you bring drugs? The witch laughed. Chill, Barbie girl. They are only candy corn. My favorite. Geez, I almost got a heart attack. Alcohol was one thing, but drugs could make everyone go totally berserk at a party. My dad would totally kill me if he found me at a party with mountains and mountains of drugs. I bit my lip. So, where do you want to check out first? My squad is hanging out in the castle. Selena and I plan to study the forest first, before we explore the castle, said Kevin. There might be unusual abnormalities here to find. Well, I didn't sense anything unusual out here. The island is just totally peaceful and quiet. Not until darkness falls. Selena smiled. That is when the real spookiness starts. I gulped. Spookiness doesn't affect me, but my other friends were a different thing. All of them would panic and run, or worse. Protecting them might be a pain, because I didn't want them to see my transformation. That would totally freak them out. How could I protect them without revealing my werewolf form? I just had to totally try. Okay, let's walk through the forest, and then we will explore the castle next, I said. The forest could be clear in the day, but what about at night? Kevin, Selena, and I strolled down the trail until we walked off the path into the woods. Fallen leaves covered the entire forest floor. Of course, October was in the fall season. So what else can you tell me about Dragon? I said. Is he totally a vampire? I am honestly not sure, said Kevin. However, nobody knows about his true origin. They said he came from Europe with the colonists in the 1600s. He is an aristocrat who sold lands to people, just like a real estate agent. Moondale is the only town he founded in the New World. He ran the town for 5 years until the people discovered he was sucking blood from his victims. Some people even believed he built the town to only abduct people without getting caught. But nobody ever said he was a vampire. There was no supernatural evidence to confirm that. I believe he is a vampire, said Selena, grinning. Sucking blood explains it all. I glared at her. Any sicko can suck blood, Selena. But that doesn't mean he is a total vampire. Selena smacked her lips. I bet blood tastes good. Yummy. My face cringed. You will. Kevin held up his finger. Vlad the Impaler drank blood from his enemies, but he wasn't a vampire. Selena eyed him. Isn't Dracula based on him? His real name was Vlad Dracula. Yes, but the vampire Dracula version is fictional. If people knew Lord Dragon is a vampire, then everybody would know vampires are real. Still, there is no evidence to confirm it. If everybody discovered that vampires were real, the entire world would freak out. I totally freaked out when I discovered werewolves existed. Maybe it was a good thing nobody knew terrifying creatures lived among them. Or maybe not, but someone needed to know to fight them so the rest of the world could live in peace. That was why Kevin, Selena, and me vowed to take on anything that threatens our home. We might only be teenagers, but we have the power to fight the supernatural. What happened to the victims after they were rescued? I asked. Kevin pushed a hanging branch up. Tragic. The 4 girls went crazy. They attacked their families, trying to suck their blood. And they kept calling out Dragon's name. Their families sent them to a mental asylum for help, but the girls committed suicide. The doctors found their bodies hanging from a tree. How terrifying, I said, breathlessly. Did the doctors know why they went mad? The investigators believed Dragon tortured them, physically and mentally. Because Dragon vanished, the girls found no reason to live without him. Whatever the Count did to them, it was unspeakable. How awful. I wondered if Mark would have done the same thing to me if I gave in to the beast. Any abusive freak could turn a girl into his slave for life. Count Dragon sounded totally evil. I looked around, noticing we had been walking like total zombies for a while. Darkness already grew after the sun set beyond the surrounding green mountains. Then coldness chilled through my bones. What exactly are we looking for out here? Kevin and Selena stopped near a tree. They checked behind it. Anything strange? Kevin turned toward me. Spirit, artifact, or creature. I pursed my lips. The only thing strange could be inside the castle. We should just head there now. It's freaking getting dark out here. Perhaps you are. Kevin paused and looked around. Do you hear that? I opened my ears and gazed about, hearing crackling noises. Yes. It sounds like someone is walking toward us. Who? My back shivered. Maybe your cheerleading friends are looking for you, Selena suggested. I shook my head. No, they would have totally called me. Could the person be a guest? Kevin whispered, shaking his legs. Maybe. I sniffed the air, catching a cherry perfume scent. Totally something a person would wear for a party. The snapping steps came closer and closer. A tall girl stepped from behind a tree. She stopped and gazed at us like a startled deer. Oh. I didn't know there are people out here. She has long curly red hair and freckles on her cheeks. She almost looked like Tiffany, except taller and bulky in a brown motorcycle jacket. Totally a biker chick who smelled like cherries from a saloon. I narrowed my eyes at her. Who are you? She approached toward us slowly. Her boots snapped the leaves on the ground as she strolled. I'm Betty, from out of town. My gang and I are here for Brian's Halloween party here. A gang? Kevin asked. Betty snickered. Yes, a biker gang. Most people called us a gang, but we considered ourselves a small friendly biker community. That sounds ironic, said Selena. Are you here for Brian's party? While she stood close toward us, I noticed her eyes were yellow. Wolfishly yellow. Who the hell has yellow eyes? Unless. Yes, in fact we are, I said, toning down my paranoia. Betty smiled. Awesome. Can you bring me there, please? I am lost. How could she be lost? The trail from the dock goes straight to the castle. Unless her group parked their boat on the other side for some reason. Everyone should know docking their boat at the dock is a smart choice. I glanced at Kevin and Selena. They only shrugged. SSSSSSS sure, we can bring you there, I said. We planned to head back anyway. Kevin held up his right arm, flashing his wristwatch. Just look at the time. It is already dark out here. Betty nodded. Yeah, the moon will be full tonight. Perfect for laughs and screams. Yup. I walked forward past her. This way. Betty strolled next to me, while Selena and Kevin followed behind us. I wanted to tell Kevin about Betty's eyes without her listening to us. We might sound rude by judging her strange appearance. Who knows? She could be wearing wolf contact lenses for the party. And she doesn't smell like a wolf at all. Maybe because of her heavy cherry perfume. Like, who in the hell would wear perfume while riding their bike? Betty glanced at Kevin and Selena. Are those your costumes? Yes, I am a lumberjack, said Kevin. Selena rested her hand on her chest. And I am a rock star. Betty narrowed her eyes. Which rock star? Selena bit her lip, humming through her mouth. After a few seconds, she replied, Mandy Dawson? Betty dropped her mouth into a smile. Oh, I love Mandy Dawson's music. Which song is your favorite? Cradling on the Grave? Betty laughed in joy. Good choice. Raining Black is my top favorite. I listen to it a lot on the highway. Mandy Dawson was an edgy gothic singer from the UK. Everybody at my school enjoyed her dark metal music while headbanging through the hallways. Metal wasn't my cup of tea. I totally preferred pop and dance music. Betty gazed at me, gleaming her yellow wolf eyes in the dark. Where's your costume? It's at the castle, I said, stepping over the branch. You're totally going to like it. Betty pursed her lips with a little grin. I can't wait. When I was little, I dreamed about visiting a castle. My mother and father used to read me fairy tale stories with castles. I missed those stories. How did you get lost? Kevin asked. As Betty opened her mouth, we stopped when a bush rattled in front of us. Two yellow eyes appeared above the bush in the darkness. They glowed like hungry wolf eyes, ready to attack. Oh crap! I guessed there were wild animals on the island. My hands trembled, turning cold. And my breath skyrocketed from my throat. My legs were ready to sprint into action as I stood on my toes. I felt my fingernails grow into claws slowly. I learned I didn't have to fully transform my body to attack a monster. By breathing and focusing, I could change my body parts a little. Not so painful either. Selena's magic tattoo helped me channel my transformation ability to do that. Meditation and yoga also helped too. The yellow eyes vanished, and something flew toward my face. I screamed and swung my claw through the air. The creature dodged my slap and vanished in the air. I stared at the dark sky, feeling my heart race. What the hell was that? It's just a bat, said Selena, grinning at me. You look funny when you're scared. I glared at her, thinking about scaring her panties off later. Then we'll see who looked funny when they're scared. Betty giggled. I actually think you look cute when you jump. Don't feel bad about that. Well, at least Betty was being nice. And I totally like being called cute. Hee hee hee. Let's move quickly to the castle, said Kevin. It's already dark out here. Right. This way. As I walked, my fingernails shrunk back to normal. I glanced at the bush where I saw the yellow wolf eyes, glaring at me. Maybe it was only my imagination, but I was totally sure the eyes were there. They couldn't belong to the bat. That bat would have to be freaking huge to have big-ass wolf eyes. I just need to totally stay on my toes. Are you sure that was a bat? I asked. Selena shrugged. My eyes can see through the dark. As if. If there was a bat here, does that mean there is a cave here? I asked. Maybe, but bats can fly for miles at night, said Kevin. There might be a cavern not far from the lake. I hate bats, especially the ones that suck blood from people. Worse than leeches in a river. I glanced at Betty, noticing her yellow eyes gazed at my butt. She smiled while her tongue licked her lower lip. My spine shivered. What? She glanced at me and shook her head. Sorry. I'm hungry. I hope Brian brought a good buffet. Right. Betty gazed forward. Anyway, I got lost because nobody gave me directions to the castle. Good thing I ran into you. How did Brian meet your gang? I asked. Betty bit her lip. We met at a bar near the highway. Some drunk was harassing me while my gang took a leak in the restroom. Brian was the only one who stood up against the asshole and threw him out through the window. I thanked him by buying him a drink. Wow. Brian never told anyone about that, not even to his girlfriend. That story will totally make him more popular at school. He did ask me out, but I told him I was into girls, Betty continued. Not to break his heart though. He is a badass. I sighed. If Brian was having an affair, that would totally break Tiffany's heart. Then I would totally bust his bones apart. How long ago did you meet him? I asked. Betty stepped past a tree. 2 months ago, I think. We sometimes talk on phones to stay in touch. But I traveled a lot with my gang. So he called you to tell you about his party? Yes, then my gang and I immediately drove to Moondale. We love parties. Hopefully they weren't hooligans, planning to crash the party. Square lights glimmered straight ahead behind the trees. We were almost close to the castle, but I still felt like something was watching us on the island. The bright moonlight glimmered through the glass window into the ballroom. Halloween electronic music played through the flashing orange and yellow lights, projecting from the disco ball, hanging from the ceiling. I didn't expect a lot of kids arriving to party their pants off. About 50 came by who I barely recognized. Everyone wore their own creepy and sexy costumes to catch hungry eyes. We got the hot firefighters, Dixie vampire girls, shirtless clowns, and sexualized fairy tale girls. I was the only fake vampire chick who totally stood out from the harlots of darkness. My cheerleader uniform was red, with DH on my chest. My skirt hung pretty short under my exposed belly, and plastic fangs hid behind my upper red lip. Maybe a little sexy, but at least I didn't dress up like a whore. Before the party, the girls and I dressed in separate bedrooms on the 3rd floor. Why there were so many bedrooms, I didn't know. Holly and I stood near the food table. It had cupcakes, chips, candy, drinks, and garlic bread. Just your basic shacks, because the guests preferred drinking. Hormones and sweat filtered through the air, making me dizzy. Holly wore a sparkling white dress with fairy wings on her back. She looked totally cute and less skimpy. While sipping our spiked punch juice, we watched the crowd dance in their drunken trance. I didn't feel drunk while the music rocked through my ears. I guessed alcoholic doesn't affect werewolves, no matter how much they drank. Whatever. She asked for it. Tiffany and Brian danced in the middle of the crowd, holding hands and twirling in their deep passion. Dancing as if they were inside a romantic movie. Our cheerleader captain wore the naughty nurse outfit. You know, a white lingerie gown with a V-shaped cleavage, a short skirt, and a cap on her head with a red cross. A red plastic stethoscope hung around her neck and her red lipstick shined on her lips like a ruby stone. She only wore that skimpy outfit to impress her boyfriend. Brian wore a tuxedo suit with a hockey mask on his head, covered in red blood. Either he was a hockey player or a tuxedo slasher killer. But he wasn't skimpy as Tiffany. Cute couple, aren't they? Said Holly. Yeah. I sipped my drink, tasting the spicy strawberry alcoholic juice. I felt like watching the couple dance was all I could do. Kevin and Selena were off exploring the castle to finish their so-called paranormal investigation. I would have joined them instead, but I had to help my friends prepare the party before the unknown guests arrived. We totally didn't have enough time to finish, but nobody cared. Everybody just wants to drink, make out, and dance in silly costumes. How different was this freaking party from the other ones we attended? Hey, do you see Betty here? Holly asked, beaming her eyes around. I snapped from the happy couple's sight and looked around. You're right. I haven't seen her gang arriving here. Maybe they are late. I didn't see them when I brought Betty here. She said they were waiting for her at the castle. And then she just says, my bad. She's freaking weird. I know. Holly sipped her cup. Was she lying? A kid in a teddy bear suit skipped past me. How could anyone find that hot? Why would she? It would make total no sense. Holly bit her lip. Maybe she doesn't want Tiffany to get jealous? Jealous? How? Did you tell Tiffany about Brian meeting Betty before her? No. Holly widened her eyes. Why didn't you? I held my right hand up. Duh. I totally didn't want to shock her panties off. But what if she plans to make out with him behind Tiffany's back here? That will wreck Tiffany. I glanced at her. I doubt that. Betty is a lesbian. Holly squeezed her eyebrows together. She like girls? Brian tried to ask her out once, but she said she was only into girls. Maybe she totally said that to keep his hands off her. Holly grinned. Well, good for her. At least we know she will not cheat on Brian. I hoped so, but I got a feeling she was checking me out. As a popular cheerleader, I didn't mind people checking me out when I waved my pom-poms on the football field. Boys and girls could imagine me in their wet dreams, but that didn't mean I would actually go to bed with them. I liked only boys who I could trust. Too bad Mark was a mistake. Hi, ladies. Rory wobbled toward us. His cheeks flushed red and his stale, sour breath bloomed from his thirsty mouth. Wanna dance? I pinched my nose. No, thanks. We are fine here, said Holly, holding her palm over her nose. Rory laughed with his eyes crossed. His sweat poured down his face, smudging his skull face makeup off his skin. Come on. This is a party where Dash's face turned green as his cheeks swallowed like balloons. He bent forward and vomited brown muck to the floor. Blea. Holly and I jumped back, but his vomit splattered across my shoes. Oh my God. You idiot. I shouted, staring at my poor white running shoes, painted in crap. I'm going to puke in the corner. Holly sprinted off, covering her mouth. I quickly ran from Rory, stepping on my heels. And I need to use the restroom. Damn. How bad could this party get? Inside the restroom on the 3rd floor, I turned the sink faucet on, releasing the water. I took off my shoes, socks, and dunked them into the cold water. My bare feet felt better on the icy marble white floor. They were sweating inside my shoes for hours inside the ballroom. So much body heat melted all over me in there. Too bad I couldn't take a shower inside the castle. The stomach acid vomit on my shoes still reeked as I rubbed it off. Damn, did Rory drink gasoline? I turned the water to hot so the vomit will wash off quicker. The green, brownish stain barely faded off. After I turned the faucet off, the door creaked open behind me. I turned around and saw Betty closing the door. She smiled at me like a total creep. Hello. I shouted. This restroom is occupied. I know. Betty clicked the doorknob, locking it. That's why I came in here to see you in private. My heart raced, and my lips trembled. Look. I know you are gay, but I am totally straight. Betty stopped and lowered her eyebrows. What? I pointed my finger at her. You plan to make out with me in here, right? Betty snarled. No. But Dash cut the bullshit. I know you are a werewolf. My eyes widened. Excuse me? Betty smirked with her hands on her hips. I smelled your scent when I ran into you. Don't you know a thing about your kind? Oh crap. I should have known when I saw her yellow wolfish eyes. God, I was totally stupid. What do you want? I asked, slowly shuffling my bare feet to the right as my back touched the wall. Betty stepped toward me. Her eyes glowed yellowishly. I'll go straight to the point. My pack is outside, surrounding this castle. When I howl, all the humans will become our Halloween buffet. Every single one. My back shuddered. She stood so close to me, I smelled her musky scent from her warm skin. She was totally a werewolf, and her pack planned to eat my friends tonight? What the hell? Why are you telling me this? I sputtered. I could feel my spine raising inside my back, and my claws slowly grew out. Fear and the urge to defend myself woke the beast inside me a little. Betty clicked her tongue. But since I do find you hot, I will give you 2 choices. She touched my chin, aiming my lips toward her mouth. Her fresh, minty breath flowed into my face, nearly putting me into her trance. I kept glaring into her eyes without going full berserko on her ass. I breathed slowly while keeping my cool down. If I move, Betty could easily rip my head off and toss it into the toilet. And I totally didn't want a swirly. You totally think I will let you eat my friends, right here, right now? I snarled. Betty tilted her head. Is that a no? I swallowed. I didn't say dash, I choked, clenching my teeth. What could I do without losing my head? Someone knocked, drawing Betty and my eyes toward the door. Hello? My heart dropped, sending coldness through my veins. That was Kevin's voice. Kevin was outside the door. Is anyone in there? He asked and knocked again. I swore I heard voices and the door is locked. Betty placed her hand on my mouth. Scream and you are both dead. I gulped. This could be my only chance to warn Kevin so he could help me somehow. But how could I call him without Betty killing me? I had to push her off guard before she could react. I'm in here. Betty shouted. Go away, dash, I stomped on her foot and threw a punch into her gut. She gasped as she stepped back, rubbing her stomach. I glanced through the window cautiously. Her body vanished in the darkness below. She will recover, but I should have enough time to warn everyone. The door pounded as I ran toward it. I opened, facing Kevin and Selena, who looked startled. What happened? Kevin asked. We heard screaming in there. I sucked in my breath. Guys, we gotta warn the party. Selena crossed her arms. Why? I haven't even dashed, this is totally serious. Kevin held up his hands. Calm down, Jessica. What is it? Betty is a werewolf. I explained, panting through my breath. She has a pack outside, preparing to attack. They are totally going to eat everyone here. Including you? Selena asked. I glared at her. Okay, we better warn everyone now, said Kevin. Nobody will survive if they don't dash. We fell quiet when a loud howl cried outside the broken window. More howls followed the loudest one, like a fox hunting horn. A shiver ran down my spine. It has begun. Come on. I sprinted through the hallway, forgetting about my shoes. If I had to transform, then my wolf feet wouldn't tear apart my shoes. From the stairway, we reached the ballroom and looked around. The guests still danced and drank their fifth beneath the warm air. It felt totally weird to see everyone happy when death was coming to them. I approached the boombox on the table and switched the loud rock music off. The crowd paused and drew their glances toward me. Listen, everyone. I shouted. This is an extreme emergency. What? Are we out of beer already? A guy shouted. No. This might sound crazy, but there are werewolves coming to the party. Cool, a girl shouted. Are they hot furry chicks? A fat kid in mummy bandages asked. I growled quietly under my lips. No. They are real werewolves. And they are totally coming to eat you. The crowd laughed. Is this part of the event? Another girl asked. I never thought of that. Brian raised his cup up. Good one, Jessica. I stared at Kevin and Selena for signs of improvement. But they only shrugged their shoulders. Damn it. I knew nobody would believe me. All of them were too drunk to care. I'm totally serious. You have to trust me. Tiffany pointed her cup at me. Jessica, if this is a joke, it's totally not funny. Stop making yourself look. The window behind me shattered and a large shadow leaped over me. It landed in the middle of the dance floor, raising up on its hind legs. The crowd sprung back, leaving a wide space around the creature. It was a male with a wolf-shaped head, covered in black smooth fur. Long white hair hung behind his leather brown jacket, and he wore short ripped gray jeans. From the crowd, Rory approached the werewolf. He patted the wolf's bored chest and giggled. Cool costume, bro. The wolf man raised his long mouth corners up, forming a terrifying grin. He opened his huge mouth and chomped Rory's head off. Blood sprayed from the headless neck stump before the fat body fell to the floor. His body twitched, leaking blood across the floor until it stopped moving. That was when all hell broke loose. The werewolf ripped Rory's stomach wide open. He pulled the red organs out and munched on them quickly. It took just a minute for the entire ballroom to scream in terror. They dropped their things and raced to the door. I ran with my squad to help them escape. If I could transform and fight the man-eating beast, I totally would do that. But that will only scare everyone more. I didn't want my friends to see my monster form, or else they might exile me from their squad. For now, I must stick with my human form until my friends run away to a safe place. The crowd rampaged into the entrance hall and out through the front door. We raced like a stampede of sheep, screaming for our lives. While running down the trail, yellow eyes appeared in the dark trees above us. They looked like the same eyes I saw over the bushes. My heart pounded. Look out! The man-wolves jumped down, landing on a few people. Screams and blood sprayed around us. A girl in a wedding dress lost her head, a man in a bunny suit watched his guts spill out, and two wolves pulled a football player apart, splattering his blood to the ground. I couldn't tell how many werewolves attacked the crowd. They moved so fast, slashing each unlucky partygoer in their sight. The crowd broke up from the slaughter, running in separate directions. Not all of them escaped to the right path. Keep running this way, I cried. Tiffany and the girls followed my lead. Brian and Kaysen ran behind us. I clenched as agonizing screams hollowed from the surrounding shadows. It sounded like everyone was dying, no matter where they ran to. Tears flew off my eyes through the chilly wind. Letting the kids die broke my heart. I wished I could save them, but I couldn't. Whoever those werewolf bastards were, they planned their attack pretty well. But how did they know about Brian's Halloween party on Moon Island? I remembered Betty said Brian invited her to his party. Maybe he didn't know, unless... Someone screamed behind us, making my heart jump. We stopped to look back for a moment. Kaysen laid on the ground, raising on all fours. He must have tripped while running like hell. I'm okay, he exclaimed, brushing his arms off. A shadow grabbed his legs and dragged him into the darkness. He screamed as the wolves munched on his flesh. Just like that, he was totally gone. Keep running. Brian grabbed Tiffany's hand and continued to run. I followed the squad while leaving a trail of tears. I may not know Kaysen, but hearing his crying death sent shivers and pain through my body. My heart soon calmed when I saw the dock up ahead. Relief spun around me. But when we stopped at the end, my heart dropped. All the boats were gone. All of them. Not a single one. Where are the boats? Tiffany screamed. The boats should be here. I know I left our boat here, Brian exclaimed, pointing his finger at the water. Some of the guests brought their own too. Holly glanced at the dark lake. Maybe the guests got here first and took all the boats. Malaya glared at her. Are you stupid? Nobody ran ahead of us. They are all dead. I nodded in agreement. The squad and I were the only ones who made it. Maybe someone moved them while everyone danced at the party. Or someone sank the boats so nobody could escape the island. I totally blamed the werewolves. Forget the boats. We need to call the police, Tiffany shouted. I pulled out my phone from my skirt pocket. After dialing my dad's number, I only heard a buzzing sound. What? I tried again, and an electronic woman's voice replied, "This number cannot be reached. Please try your call again later." No freaking way, I cried. Holly widened her eyes at me while lowering her purple cell phone. Your phone isn't working too? Tiffany shook her phone, screaming in frustration. She then glared at her boyfriend. Did you know this? Brian raised his hands. No, baby. I didn't know. Oh, my God. Without the boats and no phone signal to call for help, we were totally trapped on the island, populated by werewolves. Happy freaking Halloween. What do we do? What do we do? Holly cried, hopping up and down like a frightened bunny. Brian scratched his chin and held up his finger. We could. We could. We could search for the boats around the island. Hell no. I'm not going back in there. Malaya shouted. Those things might be waiting for us. Brian held out his arms. Then how the hell are we supposed to get off? Two dark furry arms grabbed Brian's ankles. They pulled him into the water, leaving a loud splash. Brian. Tiffany ran toward the edge, but I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her back. Let go of me. She cried, slapping my arms. Let go. No matter how much Tiffany slapped me, I still held on to her. After all, I was totally stronger than her. He's gone, Tiffany. I shouted. He's gone. No. Tiffany struggled to reach the water. He's my baby. We need to get the hell off this dock. Malaya screamed and ran down the dock. I chased her, while Tiffany and Holly followed me. Brian might be gone, but I won't lose one of my friends. Back in the woods, Malaya kept running until she fell into a trench. I jumped down and landed next to her. Are you okay? Malaya rubbed her knee. Yeah. Damn, I didn't see this ditch. Thank God she didn't break her leg. Tiffany and Holly landed next to me. Their feet snapped the leaves on the ground. We need to go back and find Brian. Tiffany exclaimed. Her tears smudged her makeup. I'm sorry, Tiffany, said Holly, resting her hand on Tiffany's shoulder. But I didn't see him in the water. I think the don't say that. Tiffany hissed. Don't say that creature ate him. I crawled toward her. She was totally losing it. Tiffany, we cannot risk searching for him. Holly might be sadly right. Tiffany glared at me. Why didn't you let me save him? Why? My lips trembled as a moan escaped from my mouth. Tiffany, please. She pointed her finger straight at me. I know why. Because you are jealous. I blinked my eyes. Jealous? I totally know you've been giving Brian and me dirty looks, Jessica. Admit it. You hate us being happy. I glared at her. Why would I totally hate you for being happy? You have been jealous since you lost your boyfriend. I immediately slapped her. When she mentioned my boyfriend, I totally snapped. My inner beast instantly wanted me to rip her apart, but I totally blew out my steam. You want to know the truth? I shouted, snarling my teeth. I never cared about you and Brian. Not because I lost my boyfriend. I just don't want my deep feelings get between you two. Tiffany widened her eyes at me, frozen in shock. Even Holly and Malaya left their mouths wide open. This was the first time they saw me flipping out. I cupped my hands on Tiffany's cheeks, staring close toward her face. She felt cold and her cheeks were still wet from her tears. You're my friend, Tiffany. I just totally don't want to lose you. I'm still sorry for Brian, but I didn't want you to throw your life away for him. We still need you, Tiffany. She's right, Tiffany, said Malaya, sniffing. We don't want to lose you. You are the best cheerleader captain we ever have, said Holly, with tears in her eyes. Tiffany's eyes watered until she hugged me, crying on my chest. She grew warm with the smell of roses as I embraced her. Holly and Malaya hugged us next, sobbing all over us. We all need a hug after what we were going through. My ears twitched when the sounds of running feet grew closer and closer. Something was coming. It sounded like 4 feet racing toward the ditch, quickly. I couldn't tell what kind, but I could totally hear them coming. I glanced at my friends and placed my finger on my lips. SSSH. Something is coming. The girls shivered as they hugged together. If I have to transform in front of my squad to protect them, I would totally risk it. I peeked above the ditch edge, glaring at the bushes. They rattled as two figures rose behind them. I sniffed, catching a lavender scent mixed with a wood-like pine smell. Instantly, I recognized those smells and waved in the air. Kevin! Selena! Over here! Both of them sprinted from the bushes, reaching the ditch. Their faces looked pale, except Selena's face was paler. I wasn't sure if she wore white makeup, or the makeup was her real skin color. I couldn't believe I forgot about them. Running with my other friends totally messed with my head. Jessica! Kevin leaped into the ditch and hugged me. I tried to call you while Selena and I hid inside a closet. Where were you? I was running with my squad. I stepped aside, revealing my other friends. Kevin waved to them. Hi. Holly waved to him with a little cute grin. Malaya comforted Tiffany with her arms around her. I guessed they were too scared to speak. I thought you were running behind us, I exclaimed. We couldn't, said Selena, hopping down into the ditch. The werewolves are everywhere. We didn't want to become their munchies. Those things are werewolves? Malaya asked in shock. Yes. Don't you watch horror movies? Malaya shrugged. Why didn't you answer your phone? Kevin asked. Because our cell phones didn't work, Holly stated, leaning her back against the dirt wall within the ditch. Really? Kevin pulled out his phone and clicked on it. His eyes widened as he listened to the operator's voice. It said your number is unreachable. Mine said that too, I said, shaking my phone in the air. But it was fine before the sun went down. Can you nerds explain why we are not getting a signal here? Malaya asked, rubbing Tiffany's shaking shoulders. Selena glared at her. Hello, I'm not a nerd. I am a witch. Malaya narrowed her eyes. Excuse me? I growled at Selena and smiled at my squad. She's just totally into the supernatural stuff. But she knows what we are dealing with. Are you sure those are werewolves? Holly asked, letting her breath out. Real werewolves? Like the one that attacked downtown 2 months ago? Tiffany asked, sitting up on her knees. I raised my lips, with my teeth clenching. Kind of. Everybody knew about the incident, although the police tried to cover it up. They said it was a bear rampaging across the streets. It vanished when the cops arrived. My dad said he knew what he saw, and he wanted to prove it was a werewolf. But the mayor didn't want the entire town to fall into a long panic. So my dad had to play along with the bogus story while hunting the creature in secret. Not everyone believed the false story, including my friends. Most of us preferred it was a real monster rather than a dumb bear. Tiffany rubbed her fingers through her long red hair. I can't believe this. Kevin sighed and rubbed the fog off his glasses. I don't know what is blocking our phones. It could be some type of abnormality. Or a magic spell, Selena suggested. A dozen howls echoed behind the trees, and their feet charged through the bushes. My back shivered, hearing their running feet. I think we got company. Everyone, get down. I hissed, crouching down. A werewolf is coming. Holly widened her eyes. Are you sure? I pushed her down. Trust me. We all dropped and huddled together against the ditch wall. I could only pray the thing didn't spot. Hold on, Selena whispered and pulled out a torch from her pocket. This will help us hide. What is it? Malaya asked. Selena opened the porch, filled with sparkling gray sand. This powder will make us invisible to the werewolves. They will not smell us or hear us. It better work, I said, quietly. Selena shrugged. Duh. I'm a witch. She threw a pinch of powder into my face. I coughed, feeling the sulfur stench burn through my nostrils. She sprinkled more all over the girls and Kevin. They coughed as if they walked out of a burning house. What the hell? Tiffany complained, waving her hand around her cringed face. That smelled like -SSSH. My ears twitched at the werewolf's feet, dashing very close through the rattling bushes. We closed our mouths and sat lower against the wall. I also heard my heart pounding inside my chest. The werewolf's feet stopped above us, and he sniffed the air. His head peeked down at the ditch. He was fat and light brown, wearing a biker jacket with ripped jeans. His eyes glowed yellow like lanterns in the darkness. As he growled, an alcoholic scent escaped from his long mouth, full of sharp fangs. He smelled like he came from a bathroom inside a bar. Gross. Although he perched above our heads, his terrifying eyes gazed around the ditch, grumbling through his intoxicating breath. He bent down on all fours, sniffing further down. His wet nose brushed through my hair, but I covered my mouth, keeping my warm, panicking breath sealed. The wolf's nose glided over Kevin and Selena, stopping over Holly's hair. She shuddered while her arms clenched my left arm. She acted like a frightened little girl in danger she couldn't escape from. All I could do was comfort her as the terror hung over us. Tiffany and Malaya hugged each other, shaking. As the wolf's nose sniffed their hair, their lips trembled. Thank God they totally didn't scream. The werewolf rose onto his long, bare feet. While wagging his tail, he snarled like a motorboat. Maybe Selena's magic powder worked after all. He didn't attack us after he sniffed our hair. He only gazed at the ditch without staring directly at us. The werewolf turned around and pulled his pants down. He perched, aiming his bare ass over us. Oh, no. Please don't tell me he will. Brown crap blasted down like a fire hose from his ass, farting loudly. It poured all over Tiffany. She just sat down, frozen, as the crap drenched her hair and ran down her costume. Malaya and Holly backed away to avoid Tiffany's dreadful fate. Goddamn. The werewolf shit smelled worse than dog poop. What did he eat? Oh, right. He ate the party. The wolf finished and pulled his pants up. Chuckling, he sprinted off, leaving poor Tiffany in his shit. Clear, I whispered, pinching my nose. Tiffany jumped and rubbed the munch off her hair. Oh God. Oh God. That thing crapped all over me. Her cheeks puffed, and she turned around to vomit. Malaya's face turned green. There goes my drink. She ran to Tiffany's side and puked her brains out. Holly joined them, vomiting into their puddle. I only sighed and smiled at Selena. Thank you for the powder. The teen witch nodded. It's a werewolf repellent. I got plenty, but we have to keep using it. It only works when we don't move. We better head straight to the boats now, Kevin suggested. They will find us soon. But all the boats are gone, I explained. Someone got rid of them. Kevin rubbed his hand down his face. Then we better find another place to hide before we make a plan. I glanced at my squad. They still puked while spitting on the ground. We better wait until they are totally done, I said. Tiffany dived into the lake water, close to the shore. She would have washed naked if Kevin wasn't with us. Holly, Malaya, and I wouldn't care. We took showers together a lot after our practices. Poor Tiffany. Nobody deserved to smell like shit all night. When she finished, she stepped toward us from the lake, shivering like a frightened cat. Her hair drenched down her shoulders, wet and messy. Her makeup melted off her pale face, and her nurse cap was missing. Geez. She looked like a ghost woman who drowned in the lake. Are you okay now? I asked, sniffing her a little. The foul turd stench around her body was gone, and no brown spots stained her costume. She shook her hair. I'm good. What now? Kevin rose from a log on the sand. Well, since we can't leave, hiding is our best option. The forest is too dangerous right now, because wolves love to hunt in the woods. I suggest we take shelter inside the castle. Are you nuts? Holly exclaimed. What if those things are in there, waiting for us? I am not going back in there too. Malaya shouted, flinging her arms up. It's risky, but the castle has plenty of floors to hide from the werewolves, Kevin explained. We can barricade or lock ourselves inside a secure room. Holly raised her eyebrows. And? We wait for help to arrive. Our parents will realize we are missing and they will call the police. It might take a while, but they will find us. But what if the werewolves attack them? Malaya asked. Not in daylight. The werewolves can only transform at night. I checked my phone. So far, I didn't receive any new messages from my dad. I totally know he will search for me like a bloodhound on crack. But I don't want to be trapped inside a cramped, smelly room for hours. Tiffany complained. There must be another way off this stupid island. Can we fight them somehow? Holly asked. Malaya dropped her mouth. Hell no. We can't fight them. Didn't you see how easy they can rip a human body apart with one hand? Kevin smirked. Actually, we could. My squad and I gazed at him, widening our eyes. What did you mean we could? Tiffany asked. You brought a shotgun to the party? Kevin fixed his glasses. I brought 10 silver stakes in my duffel bag, and Selena has witchcraft tools to create spells. Werewolves are weak against silver. I raised my left eyebrow with a glare. I totally thought you guys were hunting vampires. Tiffany gasped with her hands on her cheeks. There are vampires here too? Selena giggled. Relax, we haven't found one yet. Kevin glared at her and shook his head. No, there are no vampires here. Only werewolves, as far as we now know. But we have the equipment to defend ourselves with. The spells and silver weapons will help us survive till sunrise. Malaya cheered, throwing her fist up. Hot damn. We'll do this like from dusk till dawn. I giggled. Okay, if the castle is clear, we will barricade the perimeter and totally arm ourselves until dawn. Agree? My squad nodded. I guess this Halloween night won't suck after all. If we can survive though. Oops. I almost forgot. Selena pulled out her porch and threw a pinch of powder onto Tiffany's face. She coughed and rubbed her face. What the hell? I think you hit my eye, creep. Selena rolled her eyes. Better than getting eaten alive. She sprinkled the rest of our hairs before we sauntered into the dark forest. A note from Miles Trombley: although Halloween is close, this series will still continue through November. Have a happy Halloween. We strolled on our toes through the woods, making fewer sounds on the ground so the werewolves wouldn't hear us. Our steps sounded close to my ears, since my enhanced hearing was sensitive. It sounded like a fat guy chewing a crunchy candy bar near my ear. I clenched my teeth, focusing on what was ahead. Feet shouldn't be my total distraction. Selena tapped on Kevin's shoulder, smirking. Hey Kevin, how does it feel to be the only boy with pretty girls? Kevin beamed his eyes at her. What? Selena gestured to my friends. The only boy with us. Feeling lucky yet? Kevin lowered his jaw a little. I can hear you, I whispered behind them. We don't have time to mess around. Selena glared at me. You're no fun. I only want to lighten the mood. Yeah, right. Plus, what is the total point of Kevin being the only boy with us? That shouldn't matter. But I know some guys dream about being alone with girls. If I was Kevin, she glanced at my friends. I would take my chance to score with all of them. My cheeks turned red. Stop being weird, Selena. Kevin is not like that. Kevin shrugged. I wouldn't mind. I widened my eyes at him. What? He blushed a little. I meant being alone with girls. Not for an inappropriate reason. I glared at him. It better not be for any inappropriate reason. My squad would never bang the same guy on one bed. Excuse me? Tiffany hissed. I grinned at her. Never mind. I would never share the same guy with other girls. Whoever has that type of fantasy must have a broken head. We soon reached the castle and stopped in our tracks. 2 werewolves sat in front of the entrance, maybe guarding the doors. My friends and I immediately took cover behind the trees and watched the mutts. Their yellow eyes gazed around like searchlights, and they snorted each time they looked. I told you they were waiting for us, Holly whispered. How are we going to get in there? Malaya asked. Will they still sense us? Selena checked her porch. I only have a few sprinkles left. They can't smell us, but they will notice when we close the door. We're dead if they see us. I could fight the werewolves, but if I transform, my squad will see me. I still didn't feel comfortable about changing near them. But what if they don't see me transform? That thought sparked an idea inside my head. Let me distract them, I suggested. I can drive them away from the castle. When they are gone, you guys run for shelter. Holly grabbed my skirt. No, Jessica. They will eat you. But I can totally run fast. They totally won't catch me. Hey! Didn't you see how fast those damn things were moving? Malaya asked. You would have to be a horse to outrun them. Or a cheetah, Holly added. I totally didn't need to become a horse or a cheetah. My wolf legs had the same speed as the other werewolves. Once I become alone in the woods, I could finally use my full strength. Just trust me, I said. Someone has to draw them away. No. Tiffany grabbed my shoulders and shook me. I won't lose you like Brian. I smiled at her and lowered her arms. Tiffany, please don't worry. I am braver than all of you. After I lose them, I will run back to the castle. You promise? Malaya asked softly. After I nodded, my squad hugged me with tears in their eyes. They were totally worried about me, but I knew they could trust me. I glanced at Selena. If I don't come back in 10 minutes, you come for me. Okay? The witch curved her grin. I glared at the werewolves as my squad stepped back from me. Here goes nothing. The werewolves snarled, smiling as drool dripped down their fangs. I totally got their attention. The moment they charged, I sprinted down the trail. My bare feet burned as I ran, pumping my super adrenaline up my legs. I wished I could look back to make sure my friends made it to the castle safely. But werewolves never stop until they catch their prey. I spun into the woods off the trail. I should be further away from my squad's sight. Now the fun can finally start. I stopped behind a tree and leaned my back against the tree bark. The wolves dashed past me, missing my sight. I clambered up the tree and perched on a long, thick branch. Below, the wolves halted and looked around, sniffing. They will find me soon, so I totally better take them out. I couldn't kill them without silver, but I can knock out their furry asses down. Plus, I totally know Kung Fu. I took one class at the Yellow Dragon Studio in downtown. My dad paid for the class, excited that I finally decided to learn self-defense. True, but if I was going to fight monsters, I needed to learn a good fighting style too. Overpower them. If Asians could beat monsters with their iron fists, so can I. Well, maybe not all Asians know Kung Fu, but you get my drift. My white fur sprouted across my changing body. My bones and muscles expanded as the heat burned through my veins. I licked my fangs, growing inside my stretching mouth. Transforming was still painful, but not too much since I changed before. It felt like a hot invisible force pulling me apart and molding me into something new. Worse than working out for hours inside a gym. After my claws and tail grew, I jumped down and landed on one wolf. I punched his skull until he stopped moving. Then I growled at his buddy. The wolfman widened his yellow eyes, probably startled. He totally didn't expect me to be a big white werewolf. He snarled and perched on all fours, preparing to pounce me. I stood upon the tips of my clawed toes, raising my fists up in a fighting stance. When the wolf charged, I leaped and swung my foot into his face. He fell back and landed near a tree. I picked up a rock and slammed it against his head. He groaned before his silence. Although I could see his red brain matter through his cracked, bleeding skull, he still breathed. I have to go back so I can grab Kevin's silver stakes to finish the wolves, once and for all. But how will I hold a silver stake without burning my hand off? What a good damn question. My ears rose when a dozen howls echoed around me. My fur stood up down my back, leaving me with a ton of chills. It sounded like the entire pack was charging in my direction. How many were there, and could I take them all on my own? Yellow eyes blinked in the surrounding darkness. I only saw 4 eyes so far. You are an interesting pup, after all, a girl whispered behind me. I spun around and saw Betty stepping out from behind the dark bushes. She walked barefoot, and dark green leaves hung in her long red curly hair. She stopped and placed her hands on her hips. I know we started off on the right foot, but why don't we have a nice girl chat, huh? A girl chat? Last time, she totally tried to kill me. Why does she want to talk to me now? Something hard smashed behind my head, pushing me to the ground. Betty growled before the darkness swallowed me. You idiot. I wanted to talk to her. The bump behind my head arched as I opened my eyes. I was back in my human form, tied to a tree by a thick rope. The rope felt tight, nearly squeezing me against the tree. Wakey? Wakey? Good. Betty perched in front of me, holding a gun. I loaded this pistol with 5 silver bullets. So please don't try to break free. Behind her was a bonfire, and 10 men stood around it. All of them wore biker jackets, with ripped pants and no boots. Their entire musty wolf scent clouded around my senses. My heart raced, but I kept my face straight. What do you want? Betty sniffed my hair while pointing her gun down between her legs. Why do you smell like my brother? I glared. Your brother? Mark Rothschild. She tilted her head. Does that ring a bell? My throat turned dry and my heart pounded harder. His face flashed inside my head. Thinking about him made my skin turn cold. He did mention he had a sister with him when their werewolf father attacked his own family. I hoped he was lying, but apparently not. How do you know? I asked through my frigid breath. Betty grinned. A werewolf sibling can always smell her relative's scent. I assumed he bit you and left his sweet smell on you. It took me a while to figure that out because I suck at remembering scents from my kind. She took a deep breath. It's been ages since I last saw him. Perhaps too long, and he was a total asshole. Betty chuckled. I agree with you. He was worse than our father. Dominant and abusive. He wanted me to stay in the woods with him forever, believing we could hunt humans in secret. She brushed her hand through her hair. But I rebelled and ran away to start my freedom. As you can see, I built my own pack. We traveled around hunting and riding for a long time. And it was better than rotting away in the woods like wild animals. I smiled. You bikers are totally wild animals. Sort of. Betty rolled her eyes. But we are smarter than wild animals. So tell me, Mark's mate - it's Jessica. Mark isn't my boyfriend anymore. Betty shrugged. Did you run away from him too? I grimaced. He's dead. I killed him. Betty's yellow eyes widened, but then she laughed. Her men laughed too, like wolves, trying to laugh like humans. Totally uncanny valley crap. Fantastic. Betty clapped her hands. You must be stronger than him. My face lit up in bewilderment. You totally don't care about your brother? Betty flung her hands up. Why should I? We never communicated for centuries. If I saw him again, I would have killed him myself. What a totally messed up family. They probably didn't change much from the 1600s. Why did you attack our party? I asked, wiggling a bit. The rough rope itched my skin. Betty rubbed her gun against her temple. To feed, silly girl. We werewolves gotta eat when we are on the road. But hunting a human pack is difficult when cops patrol the areas. Luckily, we ran into Brian. I narrowed my eyes. Brian? Betty held up her finger. He is the one who had set up the party for us to eat your human friends. This lake island became perfect for our secret feast. So he is one of you? Betty giggled softly. No, we just made a deal with him. Remember what I told you about how we met? I nodded my head. Betty sat down, crossing her legs. That was a lie. My gang attacked the bar at night to feed. Brian was there at the wrong place at the wrong time. Before I attacked him, he begged for his life, like a dog. I despise weaklings, but Brian sparked me an idea. I told him to make a big party for my pack to feast in secret. In return, he can join my pack and live forever in our harmony. My eyes widened. For real? Brian sold us out to monsters for Halloween? That revelation chilled through my bones. I gave him a taste of my blood to give him a sample of my power, Betty continued. But I would not let him join my pack. Why should I allow a weakling to enter my biker gang? I got enough of good, strong men to keep our pack together. Only the fittest can survive with us. The men cheered in roars, shaking their fists in the air. Betty rose and crossed her arms. So we ate him too with the others. He tasted nasty, but using him was worth it. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be here. My growl escaped from my throat. You're a monster, just like your brother. Betty snarled and slapped my face, leaving a claw mark on my right cheek. It stung until the scratch closed. I frowned while glaring at her. Then why don't you prove it by killing me now? When I break free from this damn tree, I will make you pay. Betty laughed. Yeah, right, but I want you to tell us where your human friends are. Then maybe I will let you live. Does that sound like a better deal? What the hell? Did she totally think I would give up my own friends to survive? Either way, I might be totally screwed. Betty pointed her gun at my face. This is your last chance. Join us, or kiss my gun. I glared, revealing my fangs beneath my lips. Go to hell. I rather totally die than endanger my friends. I don't treat them like food. I treat them as human beings because that separates me from monsters like you. Betty shook her head, clicking her tongue. Suit yourself. Too bad you are cute. I closed my eyes, ready to feel the bullet blast through my skull. I wished I could say goodbye to my dad. Ignis. Selena's voice shouted. I opened my eye as a fireball struck Betty's face. She screamed and fell to the ground. Selena jumped from a bush and landed like a cat near me. The wolfmen growled at her as their fur grew over their muscular bodies. Their faces turned wolfish, although their snorts grew short. After their legs bent backward, they were ready to pounce the witch. Selena raised her right palm at them. Ignis. A fireball blasted from her palm and exploded into one werewolf. His body hit the ground, smoking. All the werewolves charged her, but she blasted them away, shouting, Ignis. 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 She pushed them all away before one of them could touch them. What a totally badass witch. While she roasted the werewolves into barbecue, I shook the ropes again. Hey. A little help, please? Selena turned to me and giggled. My bad. I got distracted. Ignis. She shot one fireball past me, and the ropes fell off. I jumped to my feet and rubbed my arms. It totally felt good to feel free from those tight ropes. We have to go back to the castle. Selena shouted. I can't roast them forever. Wait. I spotted the gun and picked it up, cold and a little heavy. This gun has silver bullets. Selena gazed at the gun. Then use it. My hand shook while holding the gun. But I totally don't know how to use it. The werewolves rose back up in their monster furry forms. They looked totally pissed off. Selena rolled her eyes and grabbed the gun from me. Let me use it, dork. When the wolves charged, Selena fired the gun. One wolfman fell to the ground with a bullet hole through his head. Selena shot the rest, killing 4 until the gun clicked. She checked the weapon. It's empty. No shit. You wasted them all. I shouted. The last 4 backed away behind their unconscious pack leader. Betty groaned with her eyes closed, and the werewolf corpses changed back to their human forms. I could totally tell the werewolves wanted Selena, and my blood spilled. They snarled and grumbled with scowling fangs shown. And murder glowed within their yellow eyes. I gulped. We better run. I told you so. Selena positioned her hands together in a triangle shape, aiming at the wolves. My car. A white ball flew from her palms and flashed in front of the wolves. The light totally stung. My eyes, too. I covered them with one arm to avoid the painful glaring light. Come on. Let's go. Selena grabbed my hand and pulled me as I followed her. My eyes cleared as I rubbed them. You wasted all the silver bullets. Selena released my hand. You didn't tell me how many bullets were in the gun. You're a witch. Aren't you supposed to sense different metal with your mind? Witches are not psyches. There is a difference. I sighed while running with her at the same speed. If Daddy taught me how to use a gun, then Selena wouldn't have wasted the damn bullets. But no. My dad said I was too young to use a gun. Damn, I thought this was America. I would have killed Betty if I had that chance. Now we might have to face her off at the castle. Selena stopped near a tree. She placed her hand on the rough bark, breathing heavily. I can't. Run. Longer. I spun around, glaring at her. Are you totally kidding me? Selena sighed. Sorry, but my feet hurt. I have been running around all night. I snorted. No wonder witches totally ride on broomsticks. Let me help you. I lifted her up off the ground, holding her with my arms beneath her legs and back. Her lavender scent flowed through my nostrils. How could she still be clean? Do witches use spells to stay clean without taking showers? While I sprinted, Selena snuggled her head against my chest. My savior. I groaned. Don't get any weird ideas, okay? Selena moaned. When we get back inside the castle, you should rub my feet. You do that yourself. The witch huffed in disappointment. For crying out loud, I wasn't anyone's nurse or massage therapist. We're in a life and death situation on the island. Rub your own feet if that will help you walk, lazy. As I reached the castle, Kevin and Tiffany held the door open, holding silver stakes. Come on. Come on, Jessica. Tiffany cried. I dashed faster until I ran through the door. Tiffany slammed the door shut as I placed Selena down. Kevin pushed a table against the door after he locked it. Will that hold them off? Tiffany asked. Kevin removed his glasses and wiped his face. Hopefully long enough. Tiffany ran to me and hugged me. Don't do that again. You're lucky the goth girl found you. Selena waved her hand. You're welcome. I embraced Tiffany for a bit and glanced at Kevin. Is everything barricaded? Yes, Kevin answered, putting his glasses back on. We locked all the doors, except the hallway to the library. They can only break through the main entrance to reach us. But I don't know how long we can stay safe in here. What time is it? Tiffany glanced at her sport wristwatch. It is now midnight. I clenched my teeth. Shit. It will take totally 7 hours for the sun to rise. Tiffany placed her hands on her face. This is bad. Totally bad. Come on, we can't give up now, said Kevin. We are still alive and we have their weaknesses. Let's get armed before they attack. I nodded. The girls and I sat on the stairway, holding wooden spears with sliver stakes on them. Thank God I didn't need to worry about burning my hands off. I totally had no clue how long we waited for an attack. Whatever the werewolves were doing outside, they might be waiting patiently. Maybe they decided to leave to hunt someplace else. But I knew that would be totally bogus. After Selena shot 4 werewolves, Betty was totally pissed off. The hunger in her eyes grew wide with fury. Not only did she want blood, she wanted vengeance. And Selena might be her main course. I yawned and checked my digital wristwatch. 2:01 a.m. Crap. We still had more hours to wait. Too bad I was the only one awake. Tiffany, Malaya, and Holly laid on the bottom steps, sleeping peacefully. Their terror totally pooped them out. Jessica, Kevin whispered behind me. I almost jumped, but my legs were numbed. Well, you totally woke me. Sorry. He scratched his hair. How are you? I rubbed my eyes. Tired, on full alert. My body wants to totally fall asleep now. But my wolf instinct wouldn't allow me. While danger is outside, I know they could attack at any time. I understand. Maybe some knowledge will calm your system. Knowledge? Kevin held up a black leather book. This is Lord Dragon's journal. It explains everything. Everything about what is going on here. Do you want me to tell you in the library? I yawned again. Perhaps learning about Dragon's secret will keep me awake from boredom. But it might be totally important. Sure. Inside the library, I found Selena lying her head on the table, snorting, surrounded by 4 book stacks. She looked like a black harlot who totally had a hangover. Ha ha ha. I see you were busy, I said, glancing around. Kevin pulled up a chair for me. Yeah, we wanted to find as many relics as possible. Too bad we couldn't explore the whole castle. I sat down and folded my hands on the table. So what is in the journal? Kevin sat in his chair next to Selena. He opened the old journal, full of yellow pages and scribbles. Do you want to read it, or should I summarize it for you in simple words? I glanced at the pages while biting my lip. The old English words arched my head. You can tell me. My brain is totally too tired to read. Okay. Kevin cleared his throat. Lord Dragon's full name is Alton Dragon. He was born and raised in Romania, Doran before the 1600s. He was part of a count family who controlled the village. Hold up. I raised my hands up. Doran? I totally never heard that place before. That is because the village no longer existed. Some people in Europe said it is only a fairy tale. But what I read from this book, Doran was a real place. I rubbed my bare feet together under the table. They were cold and rough around my soles. I haven't recovered my shoes from the restroom because it was on the upper floor where I tossed Betty through the window. The werewolves could be lacking up there, but they couldn't reach the bottom floor still. I couldn't risk them breaking through to eat my friends. However, the ground outside didn't bother my feet much. I guessed all werewolves have strong feet. What is so special about Doran? It was a village of werewolves, Kevin answered. A werewolf village? Like in the movie, The Howling? Kevin shrugged. Yes. Sort of. I don't know if they were cursed or born as werewolves. But they had to be a huge pack to control the entire village. Dragon ruled them until werewolf hunters attacked his family. He escaped and fled to North America. Then he built Moondale to establish another Doran? Kevin turned a few pages in the journal. No, he wanted to build his own secret feeding ground without getting caught like his family. But his plan changed after he discovered human blood can keep him human for a long period of time. Human blood cured him? No, it only delayed his transformation. He discovered it after he attacked his first victim, Louis Rocheshire. Louis Rocheshire? Kevin narrowed his eyes. Mark and Betty's father. My spine turned cold as the realization hit me. So he was the one who turned their father into a werewolf. Yes, he attacked Louis while Louis was hunting. Once he learned the blood can tame his inner beast, he kidnapped the 4 girls to harvest their blood without turning them. He only drugged them so they wouldn't escape from his dungeon. But kidnapping them only led the town to discover his dark secret. I rested my chin on my cold palms. So what happened to Dragon? Kevin closed the journal. I don't know. The last thing he wrote was his worries about the jury. That must be before the mob attacked him. I glanced down at the table. So it was all his fault. He was the one who started the curse here. It does make sense from what he wrote. When I yawned, something fired loudly outside. That made me jump onto my feet. What the hell was that?